Here we go. Yes. CrossFire, Friday night. What a Friday night it is, too. Outstanding. Please, guys, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit a button while you're here, guys. I really appreciate it. You know, this is an outstanding Friday night. We got an amazing, amazing panel. By the way, shout out to the great All Day who's here. I see him. I see Ice Queen Gaming, JC 2013. I appreciate every single one of you guys being here, as well as the great Jimmy Harrison, your boy Roy. Guys, games are releasing. News broke this morning. Fire panel assembled. We've got about at least 2 more people joining us. They're podcasting as we speak. They'll be shuffling over here shortly. Want to say thanks to everybody. The channel's been growing. Thank you very much. The memberships have been growing. Thank you very much. I want to say shout out to DC Gaming, too. I don't know if DC's here yet. But DC Gaming legitimately gifted a bunch of subs last week, too, to everybody. And it really, really means the world to me. So, DC, if you're out there, I want to say thank you. I don't think I got a chance to do that verbally last week, so I wanted to take an opportunity to do that right now. Shout out to Mega Cloud. I see him. He says, how you doing? I'm doing great. Absolutely great. The weather's great here in New York. We're finally turning that corner. It's like 55 degrees, 60 degrees. I was having a conversation with you, who you'll meet in a moment here, Gamers Gamut, and he's telling me, you know, he's like, well, that's cold for me. Well, we're just turning that corner. Very exciting. But nonetheless, let me go ahead and take a moment here. If you guys will take a look at that great description I wrote down there. Really gives you a heads up of what's coming on the show. You'll see a list of people that are under there. That list is the Mooch Maniac family members, and it means the world to me. So if you guys will just give me a moment, let me just call these great people out one by one. I see Zero Steel out there, too. I see all you guys. The great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, Big Chuck 77, Alphonso Carter, BRAP, who'll be joining us soon. Jamie, Damion, the great Jimmy Harrison's here. Andy Hart, Isaac Gentry, Red Hood 420, pardon me. Ham Solo 05, Rob Jones, Dad of War, Night Ripper 7, Toto Dope, Thumbs, JC 2013. Get this work! Get this work! Shout out to Kratos99, by the way, as well. Outstanding person who always contributes to the channel. Ice Queen Gaming, shout out to Dawn, RP Gaming, Passive Profit, Dex, Flex 27, and Lloyd Metroid, our 2 newest. Shout out to Toolman55, by the way, for also subscribing to the channel. I appreciate that, guys. Please hit the sub button. Our major Mooch Maniacs, Samurai Leafs fan. Love these names. Brosy Brosum, Alex E, Thavi Sreng. I hope I'm saying that right. Miss Phantom, Maddie Beast, PS Rewind, GTI Bro, Freddy 214, pardon me, Ghostface, True Virgil, Zero Steel, Stephen J, Truth Serum, Dark Prince 66, Zuby Tech. Shout out to the great Zuby Tech who always joins us as well. Raji, Julian Johnson, Sergeant 12, Seattle Chef, Muck 45, Nola Origins, your boy Roy, Scolari Brothers, Smokes 901, DC Gaming, Miko, Gaming with Persona, and Jay Bari, who are enjoying, I believe they're currently both enjoying John Wick. I know Jay Bari is at least, but they got What's Up PlayStation tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Go check those guys out. Supreme Samurai, Tactical Gamer, Danelle Brown, That Guy Spinny, 4-Star General, Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, Snoop Will Pock, Skate On, shout out to Snoop, Domino Zero, Shadow Assassin, Strictly, shout out to Strictly Gaming, and the wise old gamer, and our honorable mentions, Marty, Ambassador Bison, Chris 713, Percolator, Hustle and Motivate, Slay and Chalet, and Come Home. You guys are out there with that food, water, toilet. We're nervous. And our forever Mooch Maniacs, the great Longshot 316, and the forever Mooch Maniac Optimus Code. Guys, going to be a great show. I like saying hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I don't know why. I should have said it years ago. Might have been a little higher. The great Jimmy Harrison says, what is up, brothers? Best damn podcast ever. Got a hard stop at 9 for some RE4. Jimmy, but you've come to the right place. Thank you for the super chat. We've got professionals on the panel tonight that have reviewed this game already, and that's where we're going to start. But before that, let me take a moment here and do introductions as fast as I possibly can. Please, guys, tweet it out. Let everybody know that we are live. The great Mag, middle-aged game guy. And, guys, you guys know that I'm so excited when Mag comes on the show. First of all, the energy. Yes. It's electric, and it's loud. It just gets louder than it possibly is now. Mag, it's almost an impossible feat, but we do it. How you doing tonight, buddy? Great to have you here.
I got to tell you, I'm excited to be here. You know, it's been a couple of weeks since we talked because we did the Last of Us chat. We did the reviews on the shows. What a great show. I couldn't make the finale show that you put on, but hey, I got to listen to it. It was great.
Appreciate
Anyways,
that.
we got things to talk about. Like, listen, this is one that we all knew this was 2023 was going to be one hell of a year for gaming, one hell of a year for gamers. We got lots to talk about. Let's get into the show. Get right into it. Let's go.
I appreciate that, buddy. Without further ado, the great creative Kofi is with us here tonight. And Kofi, you know, when we're talking games and games that are coming out, and then the situation that's going on also as we see this CMA, FTC, the whole Xbox ABK deal kind of happen before our eyes. No one better than the great Kofi, who's just got his ear to the ground when it comes to it. Kofi, welcome back to the show. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. It is awesome to be back. I think this is my fourth time. We're getting some rhythm going on here, so I'm always excited to be part of this panel. A lot of people that I've listened to, RGT, is great to hear from you, Middle-Aged Gamer. I saw that you recently joined Colt Eastwood, so that is awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a very interesting time with the ABK deal finally reaching a milestone with the CMA. I'm just ready for this all to pass by. I've been really enjoying games like Wolong. I've been really excited about whether it's Atelier and Oriza or if it's Resident Evil 4, but it kind of gets drowned out by a lot of arguing over the CMA. So whatever ends up happening, I know it's the biggest deal ever in gaming, but I'm exhausted.
I know.
I just want to get back to the conversation of gameplay. So hey, if it's over, it's over.
Well, we'll see. We are still cooking. Listen, you know what it is? Everyone says I want it to be over, but nonetheless, it's still the topic of almost every podcast out there.
It is.
You know?
It is.
So I try to dabble. I just sprinkle it in. We've done a very good job of keeping the ABK talk to about a 25 to 30 minute the past couple of weeks. That's been the limit. We don't go any more than that. We got a lot of games to talk about. Kratos99 goes, Mooch, mod me up. Okay, we can do that. Shout out to 47. He says, why is Mooch talking to himself? That's me and Mag going back and forth. That's great. I love it, Mag, because then when you talk for a while, I literally leave and go get a pizza. I come back, I get all the credit. It's fantastic.
Take a break. I'll take over. I'll pretend you're on mute. It's all good.
Thank you very much, Mag. I appreciate that. The great Gamers Gamut, which he's been popping in and out of the booth. I hope everything's all right. Gamut, great to have you back on the show, buddy. How you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you for having me once again. Wasn't expecting the invite. I thought maybe I was a little too easy going last time. We'll see if we can liven things up this week.
Listen, you got two guys screaming their heads off. I need somebody to calm it down a bit. So, Gamut, great to have you here, buddy. And without further ado, last but certainly not least, here as we start up, the great RGT85 is back. Sean's with us. Sean, you know, I'm always a big fan of what you do on your channel. You talk video games. You get a little bit into your life. You get a little bit into New York sports. It's really a well-rounded channel overall. Everybody already knows who you are. You need no formal introduction. But nonetheless, Sean, great to have you back on CrossFire. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on here. It's always a good time.
Absolutely. Well, buddy, you know, I can't help but agree with you. I just can't. But, you know, listen, I got Sean here, and I like putting our special guests on the hot seat first and foremost. Sean, let me start with this. I like to start with games, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes later. Resident Evil 4, you reviewed it. You've talked about it. I just want to say this much. I know that Resident Evil 2 Remake got a lot of publicity, and rightfully so. But Resident Evil 4, maybe it's just this is a me thing. I'm enjoying 4 even more than 2. And I mean, that's a personal preference. It's not really a critique in any way. But Sean, what was your overall synopsis of the game as you played through it? And maybe you can let the audience know who are still a little bit on the fence if they want to pick up this remake.
Buy it. Like if you've played a Resident Evil game and you're like, I'm enjoying this, then you have to buy this game. Like it is fantastic. I love this game.
Yes.
I love all of the things that they've changed. I love the Brute. He's pretty cool. The AI is so much better now than it was in the original Resident Evil 4. This game is fantastic. It's so much fun. It's really, because my whole thing with Resident Evil 4 was I bought it the day it came out on GameCube, and I was like, what is this? Like, I was coming off of Code Veronica, you know, it didn't have any tank controls. It was very action oriented, and I was like, I got about halfway through it. I ended up selling it to my buddy. I never beat it until it came out on the Wii, and then I liked the motion controls of the Wii version.
Yes.
And then since then, I've played it, you know, with standard controls, and, you know, fell in love with the game. But this is what I wanted the original Resident Evil 4 to be just, you know, a more focus on horror. And it doesn't have to be stupid jump scare stuff. It can be just because you have things like low supplies, you have things like hordes of enemies coming after you all at once, and you have to try to outsmart them, because most of the time in the game, if there is a lot of enemies, sometimes it's better just to run away and figure out something and advance to the next area instead of trying to kill them all, depleting your resources. So it's fantastic, man. It's so good.
It really, really is. Now, what did you do? You technically? I listen to your opinions on it. You don't really do the score thing necessarily all the time, but like, would you say to somebody that this is a 9 out of 10? And would you also say that this could be a Game of the Year contender, even though it's a remake?
I think you, as weird as it is, man, like Resident Evil 4 remake and Metroid Prime Remastered are fan-freaking-tastic, and they're two of the best games I've played this year. And I think come the end of this year, they're still going to be two. I don't think it'll be in the conversation for two reasons, because remakes and remasters usually don't get in there into that conversation, and they're releasing earlier in the year. I don't care what anyone says. It's always games that are released in the second half of the year that end up winning most of the award shows,
that's
like
true.
the Keeley Awards and stuff like that, because it's fresher on your mind. But these two games, this game and Metroid Prime Remastered, is the perfect remaster, because it takes the original game, it spruces up the graphics, and it makes it look better. Resident Evil 4 Remake is the perfect remake, because it takes the core gameplay, expands upon it, changes up things so it's fresh for everyone. Like these two games need to be the template for a remaster and a remake going forward, period.
Yeah, no, that's well said, and I completely agree with you. Now, I did ask Gamut. Gamut, you're playing this game as well. You said you're just completing chapter 1. Everyone's just kind of getting there. It's funny because Sean, how real quick, Gamut, I want to get your opinion. Sean, how early? A lot of people want to know this stuff. This is stuff that usually would be like held for a one-on-one interview. But Sean, how early do you usually get these review copies when these are sent to you? Typically.
Oh, I didn't get this for a review. I did the New Zealand trick, and I just powered through it. Where you change, because I went ahead and got it on Xbox, and then I did the New Zealand trick, so I got it early that way, and then I just played through it.
Okay, all right. Well, then, my God, then you're more talented than I even thought you were. I mean, you literally went through the game and put a review out in one day. You know, that just shows me that I got to step my game up. I got to step my game up.
Sometimes
I'm feeling especially lazy.
Yeah,
like it's just all you do the whole day. Like that's just you plan it. That's all you do, and that's it. Like that's your full work day.
What's a good amount of time though?
Some days I
when you
lay
do
low, and
when you do get a review code though, Sean, what do you think is ample time for you to be able to review a game though? Like to really kind of a game like this where you've played it before. What about a game where you haven't played it before?
I mean that's obviously different. It depends on what type of game it is, you know, really how long the game itself is. I think a week is usually ample time. And it also depends on when the embargo is, because you know, the game comes out on let's just say, you know, Friday, but the embargo is the Monday before that. Well, now you have, you know, it needs to be like at least a week before the embargo lifts, unless it's like an arcadey style game, or, you know, something that's just multiplayer based. If it's a story game, single player experience, you know, depending on the length of it, I like a week or so.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You know, it's funny because I've written to a few people. I'll leave the games out of it right now, but I'm in talks with a few of the PR folks on a certain couple of games that are coming out in the next month or two. And I've said to them, I said, you know, I'm very grateful. I've gotten review codes, so very grateful. But because my tier is lower, I don't get those review codes sometimes till like either the day the game comes out, or if I'm lucky, the day before. The issue with that is you can't really play the game, get a good understanding of it, and then put some sort of, you know, put a review out there and make this video all within the time that people are interested. So I'm always interested to hear how to get. I'm always writing DC. Shout out to Dreamcast guy. I'm always reaching out to these guys. I'm like, guys, how do you get these so early? I have to get on these lists. These are tough lists to get on, but it is definitely a week is definitely the time to be able to play a game, digest it, get your thoughts, and make a video. So I don't know if anybody. Go ahead, Joe.
A lot of it kind of boils down to what company you're dealing with too. Like, because there's still a lot of companies like Nintendo who don't understand that YouTubers will get you more publicity than a traditional, you know, written website. Like, I don't understand why they don't understand it. I've seen websites metrics, and it's like, this is crazy. Like, there's no
Yeah.
rhyme or reason. Nintendo has to be the weirdest company though, because they'll give like review copies of games to like channels with like 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers, and it's like, how did you even find these people? Like, it's a very strange thing. But usually, you know, I like the companies that have like websites or go through the websites, like the terminals and stuff like that.
Yes, same here.
Like because it's nice and easy. You know, when the game's coming out, you can ask for it, they'll approve you or they'll deny you, and then you just move on with your life. It's not, you know, trying to send a million emails and stuff like that. And that's why most of the time, like, I just, you know, if I have to buy the game when it comes out, that's fine. You know, I'll power through it, and you know, if I like it, if not, I'll just stop playing it and be like, oh, this game sucks, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and you don't feel
and I don't really do traditional reviews, where I'm breaking down everything and, you know, giving it a score. It's really just my feelings and my opinions on the game, so that you could see if it's a more so a game for you.
No, this is all good stuff. And I think a lot of people in the audience, they really do want to know this stuff. I don't know how many people actually do when they do an interview or they have people on the show that have bigger channels. They ask these questions. I like to ask these questions because I would love to know if I was in the audience and you were on a panel like this. Shout out, by the way, to Talos Ray. He says, what's up to the entire panel? Want to also give another shout out. DC Gaming says, thank goodness it's Friday, Mooch. Happy Friday and cheers for a good show. Hit that like button, chat. And for the panel, what are you guys playing? So yeah, guys, go ahead and enter that into the chat. Answer the great DC game. And DC, thanks for being here tonight. Like I said, we have a few more people joining us momentarily. Gamut, what did you think so far of your playthrough? And I really just want to kind of get your overall thought of how RE4 stands apart from the other remakes.
I really like it. I feel super spoiled right now coming off of Dead Space remake. I mean, I haven't quite finished that yet, but just the quality of the remakes. And then RGT was talking about Metroid Prime. You know, the GameCube heritage is very strong this year, so I really like it. I remember playing RE4 back on the GameCube, and I remember being finally excited that Nintendo was. It was kind of early up where Nintendo was finally starting to do more adult type games.
Mm-hmm.
They did have like games like Eternal Darkness and stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, I just remember it being a big deal back then, and the over the shoulder third person view was very fresh. They made it very popular, and this remake is fantastic. I'm almost done with chapter 1. I dealt with the mob, you know, with the church bell mob, and just kind of I'm taking my time, searching everywhere, shooting all the medallions. I'm having a great time. If anybody's on the fence, just grab this game. Like, you don't even need to think about it. I can't imagine anybody being disappointed.
Gamut, you said it well right there. You know, this is an honor to actually have a show where we're talking games, and every single week I get to bring up another game that just came out. We are in a flux right now where we are going to go through the rest of this year, and we are going to have games coming out every week or every other week as it stands right now. Shout out to the great BRAP, who may be joining us. He says, the Atlas Gods. That means he's reaching out to Kofi. The Domino Zero, the great Domino Zero, he says, oh, hey, the super chat's working. It's a miracle. It really is. Domino, thank you for reminding everybody in the super chat. I appreciate that. Mag, I got to ask you real quick. Are you playing RE4? And if not, why?
It's hard to play it when I'm sitting here talking to you guys.
I take that as a personal offense.
In all seriousness, I already bought it for the PS5 because I buy whatever Sony games. I want to ask a question to the panel, by the way. Any Sony games that they market, I buy on the PlayStation 5 because I always get better features. Stuff like Callisto Protocol was incredible. I loved it. The DualSense 5 features, unbelievable. Now, this leads me to my question because I haven't even turned it on. It showed me on my phone. It says downloaded, ready to go. I have 2 questions for the people who've already played it.
Yes.
First one, are there DualSense 5 features sort of like the Callisto Protocol, stuff like that, like cool sort of audio, like 3D audio features or haptic triggers? Because it never said anything about it, so I was curious if there's that.
100%.
There is? Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, I made the right decision. Okay, that's the first one. The second, because honest to God, I love the DualSense 5. First of all, DualSense 5 is my favorite controller of all time. Sounds crazy,
Same
but
here.
it is. I absolutely adore it. So I'm super happy about that, and I love the immersion with like the sound effects. You know when you pick up like a journal and then like or like an audio file and it starts playing through your controller while you're playing. I love that. It feels like I'm holding the little audio file in my hand in real life. Whatever, right? Anyways,
no, you're 100% spot on, Mag. I know it's hard to put into words, but you're 1,000% on. And yes, there's that rumble. We
It's
talked
an
about
immersion
it.
factor.
We talked about it with the demo last week when we had Worrywart was on. He really did a good job of getting in detail with it. But when you're even in the very first section there, as you're heading to the lake house there, and you're going over that bridge, like legitimately, when you're on there, the way that the rumble feature happens and the way that you can, it really makes it feel like that wind is pushing you while
you
you're
can feel
walking.
each plank too. You can like feel each plank that you're crossing.
That just makes my whole. That makes everything like that's it. I was already sold. I already bought it. But sorry, go on.
And those little speaker moments, like when you're handling your gun, you get the you get the the trick to that for me I found is adjusting the volume. If you have your controller speaker too loud, it kind of ruins it. But if you kind of lower it a little and just kind of make it match where your TV is at, man, it adds a whole lot to it.
Oh,
so they did a great job. They did a great job.
Okay, now here's my second question, because like I said, I haven't even turned the game on yet. Okay, my second question is this: it said right after, like on the PlayStation app on the phone or whatever, right? It says Resident Evil 4 is ready to play, and then about an hour later, it said Resident Evil 4 bonus features ready to play. What the hell is that? Is there like a mercenaries involved or something?
Not yet. No. Did you buy the deluxe edition?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes,
So
it's
it was just
content.
deluxe edition, like
It's cosmetics
like
and
stuff like that.
skins. Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I also heard, because I tried to stay away from a lot of media from this, because I obviously we've all played it, right? I've played it several times. I played it on the Xbox. I played it on the what the hell is it called? The GameCube. I played it on the Oculus Quest 2.
Yes,
right? Because they had that. And
same.
actually, that brings me to my next point. Anybody who's got a PSVR 2, if we're talking like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 game here, anybody lucky enough to have that PSVR 2 right now, in the fall, you're going to get Resident Evil 4 Remake for free.
Yes.
On the
Well, it
PSVR
better come with
2.
diapers.
Dude, that is a selling point right there, because I watched Angry Joe's review of the PSVR 2, and he said absolutely Resident Evil Village was a selling point for the headset alone.
Yes.
Right? So he said, well, that and Gran Turismo 7. But anyways, he said Resident Evil Village, he goes, it was a selling point. He goes, imagine what RE4 is going to be like when they release it in the fall. That's a system seller, in my opinion, right? So that's a big thing. The other thing, let's look at the legacy of this game. I mean, RE4, I can't wait to turn it on. Can't wait to play it. Now you guys told me all this stuff. I'm totally jazzed for it.
Yes.
But the other thing I was going to say is that this is, and a lot of people don't even realize this is the template of Sony, specifically Sony's future. If you look at all the big Sony exclusive games that came out like from a couple of years on and whatever, what were they? Third person, over the shoulder, story driven, you know what I mean? Adult themed games, that kind of thing. And a lot of it was based on the template of that Resident Evil 4 vibe. If you look at it, that's where it started. They said, holy crap, this is working. Let's do it. And they did it better. But I'm just saying, this is fantastic to see. What a great start to the year, in my opinion.
It really is.
Like, you know what I mean? And
Crazy.
We got so much to come. We're going to talk about the other systems later, but on that PlayStation side of things, I got this coming. Last question. Even though I'm talking, I'm still asking questions.
All right, go.
Jedi Survivor.
Yes.
Are we hearing anything about this too? Are we going to get some cool features in this? Because I don't know what system to buy it for, so I'm holding off on that till I hear something.
That's a great question. So listen, to answer your question, okay, and I don't know if the audience is going to want to hear this, but you guys all know that I'm a Walking Dead. I'm a zombie fanatic. That's coming out. Survivor comes out a week after Dead Island 2.
I know.
So
I know.
Listen,
that's torturous.
Let's be honest. There's only so many speckles of sand in the hourglass. So I'm probably going Dead Island 2 right away, and then I will play Survivor, but probably when there's that next lull. So if there's like a three-week lull between that game, and like I know Redfall's coming out, but I could probably finagle playing Survivor through a Redfall with friends. I could figure that out.
Redfall is like Call of Duty, Mooch. You could squeeze that in, like, let's play a round of whatever, killing one vampire, and then go back to your single-player games or whatever,
yes, right? Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to play Redfall for 7 hours.
Right, that's my point. I don't play Warzone for an entire Saturday.
No.
I have been guilty of it, but nonetheless, I do want to say shout out to the great Happy Cloud Gamer. I appreciate the subscription. Donnell Brown, I'm going to read your super chat, but we'll get to it later. He says, rest in peace, Blizzard games. The days of World of Warcraft, and StarCraft are gone. Guess I'll be playing Pokemon. LMAO. And the great Ham Solos here. Ham, outstanding work. I loved your video you did with your new Elite V2. He says, Mag, hashtag, let them know. Well, there it is.
Hey, Ham Solo, what's up?
There
buddy?
it is.
I did a one-on-one show with him a while back. It was great. Good guy, man.
Shout
Good
out
guy.
to-
Everybody follow him and watch his channel, please.
Shout out to Colt Eastwood who's here. Colt also, I know he's a big Dead Island 2 fan as well. Great to see Colt in the chat as well. It's been a long
Colt,
time. Got to get him on the show. Got to get him back on the show. You know, I got to be honest with you, Kofi, what do you think? You've heard Mag, you've heard me, you've heard RGT Gamers Gamut. Why do I get a feeling that you're holding up and you're not going to run to go get RE4?
Okay, I just laid this out really quick. Played it on the GameCube, loved it. I want to give a quick shout out to the villain Krauser. I thought he was one of the most badass characters I had ever seen in a game at the time. Before then, my favorite was Nemesis. I'm talking about PlayStation 1 Nemesis. But I felt like there was a human element to Krauser, and the rivalry with Leon, it sits with me today. So to see him back, I'm sure there's going to be some surprises with Krauser versus Leon. So I'm very hyped for it. But I haven't gotten Dead Space just yet, and I want to play Dead Space first. Right now, just to give you a little background, I am very into JRPGs. I have played 5 of them since January 1st and completed 5 of them. So I'm still very much digging through that. I just finished Wolong Fallen Dynasty as well, which was good. I know that game is also on Game Pass. I picked it up on PlayStation, had a great time with that. But yeah, after seeing these reviews, I am kind of second guessing my wait for it, decision. But I really do want to play Dead Space because that game is for me.
So guess what? We're both in the same boat there, Kofi. I have yet to also get to Dead Space. That's just because games are coming out and I'm trying. Listen, guys, you guys know this. I've said it every week. I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy. I'm 55 hours in. I'm probably 80% through the game. I'm trying to get the platinum in the damn thing. I mean, it's taking up some time. I know that you guys, I don't know if you guys are just running through that one and you just beat it. You're like, I'm good, which by the way, I completely respect. I just happen to really want to finish this game. That game's just a great family game. We're enjoying it. We're all kind of around the TV enjoying that. There's a lot going on to it, but I had to make time. RE4 was just on the schedule. I couldn't get around that. I will get to Dead Space is probably going to be something later in the year if I had to predict. The great Jimmy Harrison.
You can't keep up anymore. You
can't.
Keep up anymore.
Hey,
I was every year the better year than the last. Every year I'm like, okay, it doesn't get better than this, and then the next year it's better, and it just it doesn't stop.
I literally put out a spreadsheet. I had like, okay, in January these games, February these games, and then they have announcements, and you're like, well, now it's completely ruined, right? Because some indie game comes out. Dead Cell's got this Castlevania expansion, which is great, by the way, and it ruins everything else. So,
well, you know what I was excited for? Burning Shores, because I got to tell you, 2022, my game of the year, I don't care what anybody says, my game of the year was Horizon Forbidden West. And I loved it. I adored it. I put 100+ hours into it. And now they got this DLC coming out. Guess when? A week after Jedi Survivor. So you've got Dead Island 2. 6 days later, you've got what's it called there? Jedi Survivor. And then 7 days later, you got Burning Shores. How?
A little Zelda after that, maybe, like.
Oh yeah, and the Zelda, like a week or two after that. How? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How?
We're running. Listen, it's a good problem though, Mag. We podcast in the past where we're sitting there in a lull, so I'll take this.
I know.
I'm not going to complain.
It's kind of like Netflix. You put everything on the watch list, and you never get to the watch list. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with the backlog. You're like, oh, I'll put that on the watch later. The next thing you know, 2 years gone by, to go, oh, they have an Ozark season 4? And like, I haven't even seen season 1 yet. You know what I mean? So
that's a really good point. People are like, Mooch, have you seen Succession yet on HBO Max? I'm like, no. So I started. I'm done with season 1 now. Great show, by the way. Then I see on Twitter, they're like, series finale coming up. I'm like, series finale? How many seasons are there? There's like 4 or 5 of them. I'm on 1. I can't keep up. I just can't.
Same thing with gaming. You know what the thing is? Dead Space, it'll be on sale by the time the summer comes. If you're buying it on PlayStation, doesn't PlayStation have that summer sale every year?
Yeah,
right.
Well, wait
a lot better.
Wait a minute. I'm glad you brought that up for a second, Meg, because to be honest with you, there used to be a summer sale, then there was a Christmas sale. Are you guys seeing what's going on? There's a sale right now on PlayStation Network right now, 75% off. Listen, I know you guys might not be a fan, but Dead Island 1 right now, the definitive edition, and Riptide, the definitive edition, are $2 a piece or $3 a piece.
For $5 you get both.
I bought them. I tweeted out that I bought them, and then I literally, after I hit the tweet, I said, when am I going to get back to playing these? I mean, I've beaten them before. I've played Dead Island at least twice, and Riptide I know I've played through at least once. I prefer the original one. I'm just trying to say, you buy these games, they're $2, $3, and that same thing goes for all the PC games that are on the Steam sale.
the Steam sale. Everybody loads up and then no one touches them.
You don't touch them. How do you? I bought every Yakuza.
I just built my first PC this week, and I discovered this site called GOG with all these old ass games, like games I haven't thought of in years, like John Woo's Stranglehold.
Yeah,
I picked up like all these Tomb Raider games, all these old games that look great on PC. By the way, $7 for 5 games.
Well, we're not going to listen. I got to be honest with you. We're running out of time to play all these games. We're going to have to quit our jobs and just play them. I got to go YouTube full time. Apparently, that's the only way to get this thing done. Kofi, we're not going to hold it against you, Kofi, but I know you'll eventually get to those games that we're talking about here. I know you're going to get to that RE4 eventually. Yeah. So, like I said, we've got Blaze 4K showing up at some point tonight. He's finishing a show up as we speak, and BRAP may be coming at some point in time. He's out enjoying some beverages and dinner with friends. So hopefully we get BRAP in here as well. But I want to go ahead and start up. Sean, I'm going to go ahead and ask you first here. The news broke today about the whole, the CMA, the provisionally concluded that Microsoft and ABK acquisition won't hurt competition. Now, RGT, besides legitimately saying you're tired of hearing it, because I know everyone's tired of hearing it, and we're only going to keep this to a 20-minute thing. We're not going to go crazy with it. What do you think from what you heard and what's coming down the pipe? And do you think there is any type of concern as a gamer having any of these? This has been my stance. My stance has always been, I don't like seeing Sony or Microsoft own too much IP because, listen, the reason that when I come visit anybody in their particular hometown, they go, Mooch, you got to try this burger place. Mooch, you got to try this pizza place out. Mooch, you got to try this out. It's because they're all mom and pops, right? And when you're an independent person, you work harder, you have your own secret sauce, you do your thing. When a conglomerate buys out that secret sauce or that mom and pop, they start jarring it. Now it's in the grocery stores, then it's online, then Amazon's shipping it, and it's just bulk and it gets pumped. I kind of like to have some of these companies stay independent. But RGT, that's a me problem. Where are you on the whole thing as far as what we're seeing? Now we're leaning, the scales are tipping a little. Now we're seeing it lean a little bit more towards Microsoft's favor. Of course, we still have to wait to hear the final judgment at the end of April, and then the FTC is later this year. What do you think?
It's been a lot of stuff.
It has. It certainly has.
Obviously, I think all of us are ready for it to be done.
Right.
I mean, at this point, though, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's hard for me to really care all that much because, like, some of these games are obviously going to go, console exclusive to Microsoft. I get it. Microsoft needs all the help it can get with console exclusives right now. Like, let's just be realistic. A Hi-Fi Rush aside, that was a really good game, but beyond that, they've been striking out all across the board. Everything is constantly delayed, pushed back, this, that, or the other, which is really a topic for another day. So I also see Sony kind of coming across as like, obviously they were like, well, we can't compete with Call of Duty. And it's like, well, why not? Like, you can make a game specifically designed for your system, an exclusive game that people who buy and support your ecosystem will be able to play only on their PlayStation, which is a win-win for everyone. A Call of Duty killer. Like, Call of Duty just sells on namesake nowadays. Yes, I do play it, but I think I got a review copy of it. Like, that's the thing. Like, I didn't even ask for it. They just sent it to me, and I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And so, like, I play it. I have fun playing it with friends and stuff like that, but I don't feel like it's going to move a lot of systems for Xbox. I don't think it's gonna, cannibalize competition. Obviously, Activision has other games. You have Blizzard games. You have, this, that, and the other. You have Bethesda games. I do think that some of the big titles are going to be Xbox exclusives, but I also think that Xbox is going to spread their wings and put those games on other platforms. Xbox put games, worked with Nintendo on stuff and put games like Ori on there, the whole, play together with your friends and stuff like that. When Sony was trying to be like, oh no, PlayStation's the best place to play, we're not doing cross-platform play. And Microsoft and Nintendo went along with it. It's almost like, I'm sure that's not the case, but it almost seems like Sony is being a dick to be a dick. And if they weren't, like, I feel like Microsoft, I don't think Microsoft gives a damn about selling systems. Everything they do just shows me they don't give a damn about selling systems. They want to move software. They want their software available on everything. And I think if Sony didn't have, such a stick up their ass about this, most of these games, not all,
Yeah.
but most of these games would come over to the PlayStation 5. And I think that a lot of them are going to come over to the PlayStation 5.
I do
still,
too.
Even when this deal gets done. There's just going to be
Agreed.
select games that are not going to be on PlayStation. They're not going to be on Nintendo. And that's fine. I like that. It gives people an incentive. Like, if Mario was on PlayStation 5 and God of War was on, like, none of that makes sense. You would only have one console manufacturer if everything was just, everything played on the same system. Like, you have to have your own stuff. And yes, Microsoft should have been developing their own IPs and their new IPs and, expanding upon their current IPs since the Xbox 360 generation and the Xbox generation. But obviously the Xbox 360 generation was their most successful. They should have been expanding upon that. They should have done things and tried things and, just kept it forward. But for whatever reason with the Xbox One, things got really weird and that system was just not very profitable for them. So what did they do? They changed. They went to this whole Game Pass thing. And it wasn't necessarily out of, let's do this for the consumer, like everyone says, this is for the consumer. We're so pro-consumer. Bullshit. You did it out of necessity.
Right.
Because you needed to in order to stay relevant, point blank, period.
Yeah.
And that's good. It worked for you. It's obviously still working for you. Now you have all these games, which I'm still waiting on a game that comes out day one on Game Pass from a Microsoft studio that wows me and really follows through. But I feel like, there is potential for that with this year.
Yes.
But yeah, to bring everything back full circle, I'm just tired of it.
Yeah.
Let them do what they want to do. They're still going to put games on. If an Xbox sells 5 units and a PlayStation sells 5,000 units, you think Microsoft's just going to be like, yeah, let's spend all this money and just, have 5 units and then we'll potentially sell 5 copies of our game? Or do you think they're going to sit there and be like, we got to put this on PlayStation? Just from a business standpoint, like, I don't know.
No,
and people are assuming way too much that this is just going to make Xbox like this huge dominant brand. It's going to outsell Nintendo. It's going to outsell Sony. And these games aren't even on the Nintendo Switch. There's been no Call of Duty on there. Nintendo's been just fine. So.
Yes. No, and don't get me wrong. There's a lot of what you said. Boy, I wish I wanted to take notes as you were kind of going there, Sean. I really like what you were saying. I've got a couple super chats here. I fell behind. The great Danelle Brown here. He says, I apologize. Yes, it is Danelle. He says, F the New York teams. He likes to give me a jab. Woo. And I hope Waller drops more balls for you. And Mooch, what happened to the series? I got a story for you, Danelle. I will tell you the story. Not a problem. I have no problem saying it at all. The great Jimmy Harrison says, haptics and audio in RE4. Sorry, hard stop at 8. No, you got to stay for the whole show, Jimmy. That's the rules. Domino Zero says, PSA, the book bridging Fallen Order and Survivor sucks. Avoid it. It's a terrible romantic fan fiction. So the book is a book bridging. I don't. There's a book between those two games. I don't know. The great Domino Zero. I apologize. I'm unaware of the literature that you're talking about. The great TrueWiddy says, if the deal goes through, what's stopping Tencent after that? So Meg, I'll go to you with that. And I got a good quote here also from Colt Eastwood. He says, Activision Blizzard won't change under Microsoft except for Xbox asking them to wait longer to deliver games better than they did with that Halo undercooked crap. Shout out to Colt for that one. I agree with him on that sentiment. Absolutely.
Right.
What do you think, Mag?
Sorry. What were you going to say?
Does it open the door, though? As TrueWiddy was asking in a super chat, he says, does this open the door? Once this goes through, it becomes a free-for-all. You can't let Activision Blizzard go through and then stop like a Tencent for coming in, or Sony wants to buy 2 or 3 companies. It's just going to be a garage sale after this.
Well, this is the time. We saw this coming for a couple of years now. This is the acquisition season, so to speak, or the acquisition war we saw coming. It's the same thing that happened with the consolidations of all of the streaming services for TV, for television, right? And Hollywood, right? What ended up happening? Disney shows up and starts buying everybody under the sun 5 years before they even announced Disney Plus. And everybody's going, what the hell is Disney up to? Disney already knew about Disney Plus in 2010. Okay, it was a plan that they had way before anybody even knew anything about it. So they start. What do they start doing? They pick up Marvel, Lucasfilm, blah blah blah, Pixar, everything else, right? And so we're not going to go into all the details and semantics. Then Netflix started doing it. Then Amazon Prime started doing it. It's the same thing here. Yes, it does set a precedence. Obviously, it's not going to be the same level because let's face it, Sony or Nintendo, well, maybe Tencent, but Tencent's got a different reason because there are political things behind that. That's the Chinese. Even though they say they're not, they're full of crap. If they don't say that there's still some kind of ties to the Chinese government. Anyways, the point is, you got Sony and Nintendo obviously cannot afford a $70 billion deal. 56 billion to be exact. It's not 70. There's 12 million in between there of what's actually already what it's worth. But anyways, the point is that Microsoft. Let's get into actual what we were just talking about here. Microsoft is not going to cut off these games from PlayStation. That's the first thing.
Right.
They're not going to make it exclusive. There is no reason or incentive to do this. PlayStation ain't going anywhere. Nintendo ain't going anywhere. I'll tell you right now with absolute certainty that PlayStation will remain the dominant force in the gaming space right behind Nintendo, and Microsoft will still be in third place. A better third place, but what they're going to be is something different. What does Microsoft do? What were we just talking about a few minutes ago? Microsoft is not interested in moving consoles. They're not interested in hardware. They're interested in software. If you go to every single office on this planet, people can hate Microsoft all they want. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. You can smack talk Xbox all day long, but when you sit down at work and turn on your computer, guess what you just turned on? Microsoft Office. Okay? So you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They run the world in that respect. So what do they want to do here? They want to be the publisher. You bet your ass that every single Call of Duty, I'll just say ABK game, okay? I'm not going to go through every bloody game. They're all going to stay on PlayStation. And you know why? Because then Microsoft can take that 70% publisher's fee, and Sony could take the 30% cut for the sale, and then Microsoft takes the 70%. Why would you cut that off for a console that is selling third place? I understand that the cloud is going to be a bigger thing for later on and everything, and that will open up accessibility to countries that don't have the consoles. I get it. But why would you cut it off? On top of it, think about this. You know, Jimmy's got 125 friends on the PlayStation,
right?
And all of a sudden, Call of Duty's on Game Pass. Is he going to dump 125 of his friends so he can get he could pay $15 a month instead of buying the game once? Not a chance in hell. So the guy's just going to buy his game on the PlayStation like he's always done with all his friends, and that's all there is to it. Maybe down the road, if he goes, hey, I could play this on my phone, maybe he might dabble in that. But I've said it. Actually, I said it right on Cold Show. I said the same thing. I said it'll move the needle maybe 10%, but that's it. It ain't going to move it enough that it's going to cause some kind of massive rift. I see people freaking out on Twitter Spaces. I'm like, guys, chill out, man. It's not going to happen. Like I said, Sony's going to be the market leader before this is done. They're going to be the market leader after this is done. The only difference is that it's going to make a major revenue stream for Microsoft, which is what they want. What are they there for? They're there to make money. They're not there to cut people off from this, that, and the other thing. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. I know. It's just that everybody should just, relax, chill out, enjoy where you're going to play your games because they ain't going to go anywhere. They're going to continue to go where they are, and that will not change. And I don't think this 10-year thing. Another thing, last thing I'm going to say before I pass off the mic here, is that this is a massive assumption that in, let's say, quote unquote, 10 years, that Call of Duty is still going to be the hotness. In 10 years from now, Call of Duty could fall right off the map, and it could be right back to Battlefield, or it could be SOCOM, or it could be a completely brand new IP. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's running on nostalgia alone at this point. I mean, I don't think the young gamers of today feel about COD like our generation does. And
right?
Yeah, I feel you have a great point.
So what makes you think in 10 years Call of Duty's still going to be the dominant force? I understand it has a history, and you're absolutely right. It has a history with us. My son doesn't play it. My son's 10. He's the market now. Look at me. They're the market now. Okay, we're not the market. Okay, they're the market. And what are they playing? They're playing Fortnite. Okay, and then you see that Unreal Engine 5 demo of Fortnite. Holy Christ in heaven!
I know.
Can you give me a proper Fortnite with a campaign, multiplayer, and battle royale, please? Epic.
Yeah, no, you make some good points, Meg, about it going, who knows? Nobody can predict 10 years from now. There's no way.
No.
The one thing that comes down, I think what you hear and what some people are predicting, which, again, I understand this. I truly, truly do. However, like I said, I have no problem. Like, Sony buys a company, they should be able to have exclusives from what they want to buy. I get that. Now, again, games like Call of Duty, Minecraft, and even in the case with Sony with Bungie, right? They're keeping everything on all platforms. They're not removing anything, right? They're not removing any part of that from any platform. But when you see what has happened, and I know that this is where the conversation, every conversation has a gray area. The gray area is like the Redfalls, the Starfields, the Elder Scrolls 6, right? Those were getting, now you might say, well, Mooch, Redfall and Starfield weren't on PlayStation. True. Elder Scrolls was, right? So there's always this gray area.
I don't get that, why they would stop that. Like, see, that makes no sense to me. I just say keep it multi-platform for all of them. It doesn't affect my life. I don't lose sleep because I don't get the game exclusively. I don't care where it is. I'll play it where I have access to it or where the better version is. But like to cut it off, I think it's actually, in my personal opinion, I think Redfall is a mistake to cut it off. I would offer it to the PlayStation community, to be quite honest, because it's going to be on PC. I put on PlayStation 2. What's the harm?
Yeah,
what's the harm? I mean, it's a little bit extra R&D to develop on a PS5 dev kit.
Meg, I agree with you because I would say this, and people would say, Xbox fans would say, well, why are you both saying that? Remember, put Redfall on PlayStation 5, but then Redfall's in Game Pass. So there's your benefit.
Exactly. And you know the thing is, too? Make it cross-platform, so you got your PlayStation guys playing with the well, maybe not the PC guys. I can't stand those guys. You know, the mouse and everything is ridiculous. It's just, but anyways, the point is, you put it on cross-platform, put it on PlayStation, put it on Xbox, put it on PC, right? And then eventually you put it on cloud. If the thing takes off, if the game takes off the way they want it to, in a couple of years from now, you put it on cloud on the Switch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Or maybe not the Switch, the new console that's coming out in presumably end of 2024, from what I understand. But anyway, that's, you know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
I hear you.
I don't. Why cut off one and why? Like, for example, where's Indiana Jones going? I'm curious to see. Why would you cut it off from PlayStation if you can make an X amount of dollars off the PlayStation sales?
Well, I mean, they do have to have. So it depends, because Meg, the path you're going down is Microsoft at that point is a third party publisher.
That's what I'm saying. And so why not?
Well, who knows? That may be the end game. We don't know that. We don't know that yet, right?
Xbox Game Studios, fine. If you want to keep those Xbox, like Fable and stuff like that, fine. Keep them on Xbox. But those other games, I just say let everybody have them. Who gives a shit? Like, I don't care. Like, I mean, let everybody enjoy them. Let everybody have them, and you're gonna make a ton of money. I mean, you're spending $70 billion. You're gonna have to make it back, no?
Well, I see. I definitely see. Well, in the case of the $70 billion, look at Diablo 4. I've said this, and I like what you're saying right there to a certain extent, Meg. A little bit of it, I think that they should have some exclusives. I mean, you do have to have exclusives to sell your console if they're staying on the platform, if they're staying in that world. Okay, if they're going to go third party, then everything you said is gospel. But I mean, when you stop and you think about it, you have a situation where you have the games like Redfall and Starfield. Those games would have to stay where they are. But Call of Duty. Okay, hear me out, guys, and then I want to get Kofi in here in Gamers Gamut. Call of Duty, Diablo 4 comes out this June, right? Is it June or July? Pardon me, guys. You guys are good at correcting me on that. June.
I think it's June.
Okay, it comes out in June. The Diablo that came out before that, what was the year it came out? Was it 2012?
2016, was it?
No, it was before that.
Early PS4
Diablo
era.
3?
I thought it was 2013, 2012? When it came out on PC first. It didn't even come out on console until after.
PC first.
Right.
PC,
so my point being, though, here is that takes a long time for them to create Diablo. So Diablo 4 is coming on PS5. Okay. So Diablo 5, it's like 10 years away. Okay. Call of Duty is going to get a 10-year deal at least. Okay. With other sorts of parity built into a contract. That's going to be on PlayStation 5. So the big tickets that are coming out of this, realistically, outside of Elder Scrolls, pardon me, Elder Scrolls is Bethesda. But outside of, I can't think of the actual game. It's going to, Overwatch, pardon me. Overwatch is a game that they may make exclusive to an Xbox system. But again, they'd be crazy to do that. So this is really not going to affect PlayStation folks for quite some time. The next
it's definitely a long-term play for sure.
It's a long-term play. But when you stop and think about it, Gamut, I'll turn the mic to you then. The concern isn't necessarily the ABK deal. It's what is going to happen next, because now the doors are open. And you can get a 10-cent in there. You can see Microsoft might go for Ubisoft. PlayStation might go for Capcom. I'm just throwing names out there, guys. None of this is going to stick. I'm just throwing this out there. You're going to see all of these things all fall under 2 or 3 umbrellas. Damn it. That, I think, is the bigger concern that most people aren't talking about.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think like Mag was saying, it's kind of inevitable. We've seen this come in the acquisition war. These corporations are going to, they're going to get bigger. I'm not really a big fan of corporations, so I really don't want to see them consolidate. But that's just kind of, it looks like the gaming, like landscape is already moving full steam ahead in that direction. But each time one of these happens, it has to get by the gatekeepers each time. So there could be a time where they just say, okay, that's it, we're stopping this, you know. So just because Microsoft gets through doesn't mean anybody can get through. It will set some kind of precedence, but every deal has to get by the gatekeepers every single time. So, but you know what I mean? It's in my opinion, it's all crooked. It's all about money to them. So, they don't care about this situation the same reasons that we do. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I mean, shout out to Skywalker UAV. He says Project Eve was announced for Xbox, then Sony bought the rights and it became Hellblade. That's not entirely accurate. So Sony funded the game. The game was not going to be. It wasn't going to be a game, from what I heard. Sony funded it. That's why that ended up like that. Microsoft has had situations like that in the past where they've funded a game. That's a different situation, Skywalker. I know you're trying to do a 1-for-1. You're doing like a 1.5-for-1. It's not completely off, but it's a bit off base. That's not exactly how it went down. What do you think, Kofi? And I'm really interested to get your take on this.
So 2 parts. For the consolidation, I'm also generally against it. I think what would have excited me the most is if I had believed Xbox would typically take an IP or take a group of developers all around ABK and elevate them to the next level. I love when a publisher can sit down with a developer and say, "Oh, you need more funding to elevate whatever this IP should be for its next iteration." I'm trying to think of a great example. For example, for Final Fantasy 16, right? They loved sitting down with Sony and saying, "This is what we want to do with this engine for Final Fantasy 16 specifically." And it makes the medium more enjoyable because they have this like a closed system where they can focus on one thing and then they can port it elsewhere. If Xbox was saying, "Oh, Call of Duty can be whatever evolution of the series," if they had a reputation for it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If they had spent the last 10 years trying to reiterate on different IPs, it doesn't always have to be a success. It's always about the effort to try to take something to the next stage. They don't really have a reputation for that. So it makes me weary of a consolidation outside of all the things that Gambit just said. And then really quick, I wanted to, I guess, kind of debate what middle-aged gamer guy was saying.
Yeah.
Because and obviously open for debate. When they decided to remove Redfall from PlayStation,
Yes.
in my mind, they want as many titles as they can to get the Game Pass subscriber count much higher. And
Sure.
to them, that's more important than the money. Now, though I kind of agree with your take personally, but because of Xbox's decision, I'm thinking, oh, they must want that Game Pass subscriber number to double, and then they can talk about maybe sharing with other people. But I think
They
they
gotta
want
feed the beast.
So you're talking about a magic number, like for example, like what Disney did. Like Disney didn't raise their
Yes.
price until they hit 100 million, right? So they said,
Yes.
okay, when we hit 100 million, we're going to raise it $3 or whatever. So what you're saying is like, let's say Microsoft hits what 50 million, let's say, and they go,
Right.
okay, you know what, 50 million, let's open the game up and then bring it somewhere else. Kind of like what PlayStation does with the exclusives. They're like, well, we're not sending it to PC until we've exhausted the sales on the console first.
Exactly. That's
Okay,
exactly
I
right.
get it. That makes sense to me. That makes sense. All right, cool.
I just think there's a lot of big hype for like such little effect, right? Like I've seen already in the chat multiple times. As soon as this deal's done, PlayStation's dead. You got to be kidding me, man!
It's
Like
PlayStation.
No, not at all. None of these people are, or none of these companies are. So the most important thing to me is quality. I tend to follow the quality, and PlayStation has that in spades. And until Microsoft can prove to me that they can produce a AAA big blockbuster title that leaves me impressed and wowed and want to play, like it's been a while for me for that.
Gambit, that's exactly what Sean started out with, Gambit, and you're spot on. And that's the one thing I'm saying right now too. Like I'm still sitting here. I got three Series X's in the house. Like legitimately, the kids use them. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We have them. I'm still waiting since November 2020 to play that big wow factor game. And a lot of people are like, well, Mooch, you don't have to wait much longer. Starfield's on the way. I'm not going to take any. That's one thing I really try not to do on this channel. I really don't. If you're looking forward to Starfield, that's fine. But Starfield is a Skyrim / Fallout in space. However you want to designate it, that's fine. I never played Skyrim, and I have played, and I never liked Fallout. So for me, this is a me problem, not a you guys problem. This is a me problem. I'm actually looking more forward to Redfall. And that's my next subject after we get done with this, which we're gonna wrap up the ABK stuff. CMA stuff in a moment here. But that's my biggest problem is what Sean said and what Gamut just said. I really want that wow factor game that comes from Microsoft that blew me away like back in the day. And I'll even be fair, right? So everyone said, oh, the 360 years was what? Gears, for me, it was Gears. Okay, great. But even in the Xbox One era, and again, I don't care if it's a timed exclusive or they buy the exclusivity. I love Titanfall. I thought that was a phenomenal game. I love Quantum Break. I liked what they had with Dead Rising 3. Again, I'm a zombie lunatic. You guys can bash me for that. That's fine. But like, I haven't gotten my Titanfall, my Dead Rising 3, my Gears of War from the 360 era. I haven't got that yet with this console. I haven't. And no, Hi-Fi Rush is not that game. It's a good game. It's not that caliber game. And I that's why when Sean says that and Gamut says that, I don't know how Meg, I don't know how you feel about that.
No,
I mean,
Mooch, you're not wrong. I'm listening to you, and I'm like, I'm literally thinking, I'm like, he's not wrong.
I'm not saying it's not coming. I'm just waiting for it.
The Xbox One era thus far, and I'm not going to use the pandemic. You know why? Because the other companies were releasing great games during the pandemic, so
yeah.
I'm not going to use that. You know, it's like the movie theaters. They're like, oh, the movies didn't do well because the pandemic. Right. Yes, say that to Spider-Man No Way Home and then call me. But anyways, you know what? They haven't released that banger yet, and it's been a couple of years, man. And I've said it before. I say it again. I've had more experiences, and I've said this to my Xbox guys. I've said it to Colt. I've said it to everybody. I'm like, I've had much more better experiences on my PS5 than I have my Series X.
Yeah.
And I got both day one. They're both sitting there loud and proud. But I've been playing my PlayStation more the last couple of years since I got it. I've been playing it much more and enjoying it much more with some pretty big games. And I just haven't got it yet on the other side. And
Microsoft just keeps stumbling. They just keep stumbling on Halo or whatever.
You got to bend the knee when you bend the knee. You got to be right. And that's your Mooch, you're not wrong.
You know what? Listen,
I haven't seen it yet.
I want to give a shout out to a few people in the chat here because this is great conversation. You know, Colt said, Mooch, he said, I'm going to go up and read it verbatim here. I apologize. He says here, basically, now I can't find it. There it is. Hold on a second. The big wow factor game is extremely subjective. So first of all, he's right. But then when you have someone like, again, shout out to Skywalker, who's here in the chat. Skywalker says, Mooch, he says, Flight Simulator is a technical achievement. Again, that correlates with what Colt's saying. But at the same time, after a long week, right? We just said this when we started the show talking about RE4 and other games past weeks. You get home, you can't wait to play. I've even got the great Jimmy Harrison who's like, Mooch, I'm going to listen to this show, but I'm chomping at the bit to get to RE4. Like, Flight Simulator wasn't the game I couldn't wait to come home and play or take a day off from work to play or stay up till midnight to play. That's what I mean, guys. So, yes, it is subjective, and I'm not trying to take that away from anybody. But we're still waiting for that game. And, you know, the acquisition here with ABK doesn't, in the near future, move that needle at all. And Meg really did the best job of explaining that. Like, the games that we have with Call of Duty, Diablo, Overwatch, they're all coming to PlayStation. So none of that really moves the needle on that buy. So I know why they need ABK. They have to feed the Game Pass beast, right? That thing needs content 24/7. It needs attention. It's literally a 6-month-old that never grows. It constantly needs attention. It doesn't grow up. You can't let it go. You let it go, it gets stagnant. So Game Pass constantly needs that. I understand. So I don't really think this buy really changes things at all. Gamut's already said it. Meg said it. Sean said it to death. I know you guys are tired of it, but when news comes out, we do have to talk about it. It is, you know, it's just a crucial point in the gaming community. Everybody's kind of all over it. Shout out to TrueWiddy, by the way. TrueWiddy says, so it's okay for Microsoft to do this to our hobby. That's not good. So we already talked about that. TrueWiddy, I hope you understood where we were coming from. I think that you're going to see the floodgates open. I think you're going to see a lot of purchases coming after this, or at least the announcements after this July. TrueWiddy's back. He says, they cut people off for Bethesda. I can't buy games on PlayStation. That's what it is. You know, that's kind of what it is. I think Sean said it earlier. You got to buy a Switch for a Mario. You know, so TrueWiddy, if you want to play Zelda, you got to have a Switch. You know, it's just the way it is. I would love to change that for you, but I can't. Achille Breeze, thanks for subscribing, as well as Happy Cloud Gamer, if I didn't already say that. Sanu.com, he says, Xbox owns almost all FPS IP, means no PSVR support. Well, I mean, that I don't know. I mean, that's not necessarily true, right? .com, because I mean, there's a lot of PSVR games that have first-person shooters, things like that. I mean, if you're talking about Halo, if you're talking, I even saw shout out to the great Jez Gordon. Jez did an article, I believe, and again, I'm paraphrasing. I read part of it. I think he was speculating too, based upon some of the knowledge that came from paperwork. But maybe one of the things that PlayStation and Microsoft were talking about was getting Call of Duty on PSVR 2. That was mentioned in an article I saw. Guys, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I did see something about that.
Thing?
It was listed in one of the documents, but part of that wording was redacted. So it's a hypothetical. I'm not saying that's true.
Damn it, that would be hot.
Absolutely. Right? I mean,
they got that really crappy one on the Oculus Quest 2. What's it called? Onward or something or whatever. And it's like, yeah. I mean, if they could do this properly, that'd be something, man. I'd be down.
So let me ask Mag first here. Mag, you talked about it. This is going to be, we're going to slightly make a right turn off of this subject, but stick with some of the stuff we were talking about with the games. Redfall's getting more and more previews. And
yes.
me and you've been talking about this for well over, probably a year at least. So,
yep.
Meg, where are you on Redfall as you see more and more of it? I have some good things I'm seeing. I have a couple of concerns. Where are you right now?
I'm okay. First of all, Colt, who's still in the chat there, Colt actually got flown out to LA to play it.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I mean, and he put up a video of it on, I think it was a couple days ago, Wednesday. It was on Wednesday. He put up his video because he was finally allowed to talk about his hands-on preview. So they flew him out to LA to play for a few hours, and then everything else. So I watched the video. I watched what I had. I'm excited. Very excited for it. It looks interesting. Looks great. Looks like a lot of fun. I just want to make sure that the big things are, of course, the connectivity issues, things like that. I don't want the crashing. I'm not saying that that's happening. I'm just saying when they do launch it, we'll see what kind of a stress test it'll be. Let's see an open beta. I'd like to see that. Let's see an open beta where they do a stress test on the servers and make sure. Because I mean, if you're gonna advertise a 4-player online game or whatever, it better perform. And especially seeing that Microsoft next to Amazon have the best servers in the world. Then let's get it done. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that that's a smooth, transition, that kind of thing, whatever. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks great. I mean, it basically looks like a Borderlands, like a 4-person online, just with vampires. I'm more of a zombie guy, but doesn't matter. Looks great. Looks fun.
Yeah.
I hope that it's hard edge. It looks like it's like a hard R, or M rating, or whatever for video games. I want to make sure it's gory and all that kind of stuff. And, it's vampires. There's got to be a lot of blood, got to be a lot of gore.
Meg, well, the blood part I can't speak to, but the blood can be done in a very non-gory fashion as well. I think when you're seeing these particles and things exploding with all those particle effects and lighting, that reduces the gore and the horror a bit for me, and it brings it more to, more of that's fictional, I don't want to say sci-fi, it's not sci-fi,
like a
but
Fortnite kind of like a 10-year-old can play it kind of vibe. I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, you know what? If I want that adult theme, I'm gonna have to go to Dead Island 2, which is fine. That's what I'll do there, and that's also an online game. So it'll be interesting to see because it'll be around within a month of each other. You got Dead Island's gonna have a multiplayer, right? So it's gonna be online. You get to play with your friends, everything else, just like Dying Light. And then you've got Redfall coming out doing the same thing. Not the same thing, but the same idea where you have an open world, no tethers, by the way. I mean, that is a huge thing for me. No tethers. So if I'm playing online with my friends or if I'm playing online with my wife or whatever, she could be like 2 streets over, and all of a sudden she'd be like, get over here, I'm getting killed, and then I could just zip over there or whatever. And that's exciting because I'd be like, where are you right now? Oh, I'm exploring this. Where are you? I'm exploring that.
Right.
I like the freedom. So the thing is, apart from that, I need to get my hands on it, Mooch. I need to get my hands on this game to actually say something and be like, you know what? I gave it 2 days. Let's see if it sticks. You know what I mean? Because I got burned. I'm not putting him in the same category at all. But I got burned with, Atomic Heart and Wo Long. I did not like those games. I was excited for them. I'm like, yes, this is my jam. I'm in.
Oh, really?
I did it. It just didn't do it for me, man. And but anyways, I'm not saying that Redfall's the same, obviously. I'm just saying I can't make a decision until I got the game in my hands, play it for a few hours, play it with friends, play with Colt, do whatever we're going to do, maybe even live stream some of the stuff, whatever we're going to do, and then have some fun with it. And then say, you know what? This game's grabbed me, it's got its hooks in me, or it doesn't. So, like I said,
see, it's interesting to hear.
Looks good.
It's interesting to hear, and Sean, I'm going to go to you next on this. It's interesting to hear what Colt just said in the chat, though. He said it's more like Borderlands. So shout out to the great Slow-Mo Backslap.
Oh, okay, that's what I was hoping for.
Well, Slow-Mo and I we're Borderlands fans. We're vocal about that. And we've been saying, I mean, Slow-Mo was just on last week or the week before. Slow-Mo said, Mooch, I don't care. He goes, I don't care what anybody says. I'm still getting Borderlands vibes. But the developer came out from Arcane and he said it's not like Borderlands. It's more like Far Cry. And I was like, that's when I got taken for a loop. I'm like, what? How do you tell the guy who made it? I don't think he's right. Right? I mean, it's kind of funny. I'm just being, but like a lot, and Colt just said it's more like Borderlands. It looks like a Borderlands type of game, right?
The third game we've heard. Like they've said, oh, it's like Far Cry or it's like Left 4 Dead. Like I feel like the marketing hasn't done the greatest job, like exactly showing us exactly what this is.
That's a good point too, Gamut.
Like it's kind of rotated between 3 different games that I keep hearing.
So Sean, I got to ask you, love to get it because I mean, listen, whether you like to play it or not, Sean, I know you're going to at least have to do a video on Redfall, right? It's going to be the one of the games. Well, I say that. Boy, I might be wrong. I might be eating my own words on that one. Sean's going to be tied up the entire month of May covering Zelda, but nonetheless, Sean, what do you think about Redfall? Is that a game that's on your radar? And I mean, what about the mixed messaging we're hearing? There's people who've played it who say it's like Borderlands, like Colt. I mean, but they're saying it's like a Far Cry. Everything's all over the place. I'm a bit confused on this game, and it's just coming out in over a month.
I've been confused about this game since I first saw it because I think everyone thought it was like just a Left 4 Dead clone, and then they're like, no, it's not, but it kind of is, blah, blah, blah. I'm at the point with this game now where it's just like, I would like to play it just to see.
Right.
It's hard. No disrespect to anyone. But when a company flies you out to play the game, I do feel like, the hype and the excitement kind of gets a hold of you because you're there. So it might not be the best sort of setting to critically analyze the game or whatnot. So it's kind of hard, based on those impressions, in my opinion. Like the game's coming to Game Pass. If you own an Xbox, there's a 95% chance you probably own Game Pass. So just play it. I know Spawn Wave wants to try it out, and I was like, yeah, whatever, we could play it. So, I'm going to play it. I did like the story trailer, though. I thought the story trailer was actually, I know some people didn't like it. I thought the new story trailer, though, was actually good. It was the best thing I'd seen so far from the game. So, I'll check it out.
Yeah, no, and it's funny. Shout out to Spawn Wave, by the way. Yeah, I can see Spawn roping you in for that, RGT. I hope you guys stream that. That would be great to watch. But yeah, no, I do agree. And don't get me wrong. That's like you say, it's no offense. When you do get taken out there, you get wrapped up in it. You're talking to devs. It's exciting. So it's like, I want to see Mag, I'm really interested when you and Colt play the game. I want to hear what you guys have to say. And it may be a back and forth. You guys might both agree. You both might not. That's going to be an interesting take. Kofi, are you interested in this game?
So, not so much. This might sound kind of far-fetched, but the idea of working with a team of people to take down vampires kind of gives me like somewhat of the Left 4 Dead love that I've had for many, many years. I know that the mechanics are probably completely different, so I don't want to offend anybody by making that type of comparison. But when I hear the developers say it's like Far Cry, but when I look at the gameplay to me looks more ambiance-based and perhaps taking your time gives you influence. And to me, Far Cry is more like chaos. Like you need to be moving quick. You're taking out a compound. You got different ways of doing it. So I don't get that kind of energy either. And just the movement in general seems to just be more settled in, which is fine. I mean, I think I would try it. I have a PC that can run it, but it's not high on my radar right now. I think when I see high engagement, it might pull me in, like because this comes out in May, right? So it's going to be a pretty good time. I think Atlas Fallen's like the only other game I might get in May. So. I'll say it's on my radar at this point.
Absolutely. I think Sean said it best. If you do happen to have Game Pass, I mean, you're going to try it. We're sitting here, we're waiting for these new games to arrive. Here's a new game arrives. You'd be crazy not to hit play. I mean, that's just something you would have to do there.
100%.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. It's definitely worth a shot and checking it out. I myself, to give my 2 cents on it real quick, is this. That was the game that, if you asked me which one I was looking forward to more, not because of scale or money put into it, but just my personal interest. Look, zombies are definitely my favorite, but I'm vampire right there with it. So love that whole genre, love that whole take. Arcane's gunplay, it's 50-50. There's some of their games that I absolutely love their gunplay. some not so much, right? And that's again, this is only speaking for me. I also agree with Meg. Like the story, really do like where they're going with the story points, this and that. The one thing I didn't care for, the overall arching story is what I'm talking about. The few things that I saw, I didn't care for some of the quests they showed you're on. They seem very meaningless. They seem like you're going, it's like, go to this house, grab this light bulb, come back to the lighthouse, put light bulb in, does this. Okay. It seemed like very meaningless quests. And, you might say, well, Mooch, give me an example of what you're talking about. I'm currently playing through Hogwarts Legacy, and I saw some people say, geez, I'll never get to the level 40, which is I believe the max out level. And if you play through the game and just do the main story, no, you won't. But I've been doing every side quest in Hogwarts, right? Just to give an example of one. Borderlands is another, if you want to stay a little more similar to the game. But as I go through Hogwarts, I actually said it last night. I'm like, man, I'm enjoying some of these side quests just as much, equal to the main quest. So if you have a game that's, a fetch quest type of game, I don't have a problem with that, first of all. But when it's just like, go fetch me batteries, come back, or go do this and come back, and there's no real rhyme or reason, and then the main story may not hold, we don't know enough yet to hold our attention, that's where it may get a bit repetitive. And the other part that gets me, the online thing that everybody's complaining about, I don't really mind. I think all of us, everyone that will like or not like this game in the chat is currently on the internet, right? We all have a way to get on the online. I don't think that's a problem. The tethering thing is the issue. So if everybody on my panel right now, if we were to all play this game and we played under me as the host, all of them would have to the next day play everything we did all over again. And that's the problem I would have with the game. I think that progression through the game should work wholeheartedly throughout the team so that when Mag goes to pick up the game the next day, he's right where we left off, even if I'm not there. But that's not the case. He will get the achievements. He'll get the achievements, but he will not. He won't get the story progression. That's a bit of a bummer for anyone that's known games like that. I believe State of Decay 2 was like that as well. I tried desperately to get with people to play with them. We couldn't get our schedules to line up, right, to finish the game. So I ended up just starting it over and playing through it myself. That's what Worry was saying. A lot
of games are like that.
Yeah, well, that's what Worry War. And Worry War, it's like, he's like, it's like you want to play with friends, but realistically, you're going to end up at the end of the day, unless you can choreograph this thing with your buddies, you're probably going to end up playing this game alone for the most part, just because scheduling and time.
Yeah. Side note, Mooch, id, the guys who make Doom, they actually worked on the gunplay for this game.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that till I was today years old when I found that out. So.
That's good information.
It's two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked into it. Apparently, id went in there and they did the gunplay. I mean, Arcane did the gunplay, but id went in there and they refined it to what they did on the Doom games. So obviously they were probably, Mooch was probably not that far off the mark. They were probably struggling a bit, and id probably said, you know what, this is kind of what we do. So they went in there and they worked on it apparently. So that's the word.
Yeah, shout out.
That's good. I'm glad to see Microsoft. They should be leveraging their assets like
Absolutely.
that. Absolutely. They need to be doing that. And honestly, until Arcane gives me a reason not to trust them, I kind of like the Arcane games. I think I'm pretty interested in it. I think it's going to be cool, especially like RGT said, this last bit of marketing with the story, more of the single player looking stuff, kind of wrote me in. I'm definitely interested in checking this one out.
Well, shout out to a few people in the chat. I don't think, and guys, by the way, I don't think I was hating on the game at all. I just said I want to play the game. They're like, Mooch, you're spending too much time hating on a game you haven't played. Oh, my God.
The other thing is there's no skin off anybody's back. If you got Game Pass, just play it. It's right there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I got to go out and spend $70,
right,
$80. It's right there. And I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that works in its favor, Mag, and sometimes it doesn't. You know what I mean? I think it can go either way. No, I'm with you. I mean, I happen to be in your camp, but I'm just saying for some that doesn't always work. So let's move this over to the other video that was kind of shown this week on Unreal Engine 5. We saw more of Senua, okay, and we saw Hellblade 2 being displayed on Unreal Engine 5. First of all, for all the people saying I'm hating all the time, first of all, I loved Hellblade. I really did enjoy the game. I would say this much. The things that I said in the first one that needed to be fixed were definitely the combat. I didn't mind the puzzles at all. I like the story, but the combat was repetitive and very, very basic. I thought it was very basic. If they can fix that moving forward, I think they got a winner on their hands. My question for you guys, and I'll start with RGT this time. Sean, for Hellblade 2, what do you have to see? Right now, I need to see more than Senua just screaming at the screen. Thank you. I appreciate that, Meg.
Well, I mean, what have we really seen from this game?
That's what I've been asking. Yes.
You know, you got the new face demo. You had the trailer from a couple years ago at the Game Awards. I mean, I assume it's going to build upon, and I also was a big Hellblade, the original game. I was a big fan of that game. But I feel like, you know, the expectations are a little bit higher now because when Hellblade came out, like nobody really, it wasn't like this huge big deal, but as people played it, they're like, oh damn, this is a good ass game. So now the expectations are higher. The budget for this game is obviously way higher. So now, you know, a lot of people are looking at Hellblade 2 to be like, you know, one of those big impactful games that, you know, storytelling, action, and like the combat. I don't know. I didn't really hate the combat in the first game, but I think it does need to be expanded upon. You need to expand upon the length of the game as well. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's just way too early to. I mean, I'm not going to get excited for it or anything like that because I haven't seen anything from it. You know, an up close face, like cool. Like, you know, most of the time when you play the game, you see her from behind, so I won't really be seeing her face all that much. So
this is true.
You know, show me some game.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I'm kind of glad that Sean just kind of feels the way that I do about it. Meg, what do you feel about this situation? I mean, I know a lot of people saw that on Unreal Engine 5, and I mean, Twitter just was like, "Well, there you go, that's what it is. It's
there
here."
You go, what?
And I was like, "What? We haven't seen it." And then I said, "Can we please see some actual gameplay?" And I was actually surprised. A lot of Xbox fans said, "Mooch, you know, I hear you. I'm ready for some gameplay." And I saw some people say, "We saw gameplay." And they're referring to what, you know, Xbox said it was gameplay. I'm going to take their word at face value. That's fine. It was gameplay, but it really just looked like, you know, a snippet from like CGI when she was she was throwing the toothpicks at the monster's eye and running backwards.
The monster that was the giant that was on his back or on the side in the cave or something. Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You got to show. Like I saw your tweet about that, about the gameplay. Yeah. I'm like, I agreed 100%. I'm like, guys, I think it's time. You know what I mean?
Let's see some gameplay.
3 effing years. Show us something.
Anything.
I mean, you're right. She was throwing the spears at the giant's eyeballs or whatever. And I'm like, but let me see, like, walking around. Just, you don't have to do a lot. Like, you see what? Okay, this is for me. I know this sounds crazy for a lot of people, but for me, the crowning achievement of that Unreal Engine 5 showcase was Fortnite. You did exactly what you needed to do. You showed a couple of seconds of cinematics. You're like, wow, that's beautiful. And then you showed 2-3 minutes of running around of gameplay, right? You saw like the girl was fighting, and then the fish guy, and they're fighting that the mech robot or whatever the hell it was.
Yes.
And you saw the lighting and everything, but you saw the gunplay, you saw everything, because that's what you're going to do. And that's what I was talking about when I did Boom Show this week on Primetime Gaming. We were talking, right? And I said, Boom, I can't get excited for something that I'm not doing. Randall Thor said the same thing. He goes, I can't get excited for CGI trailers because that's not what I'm doing when I play the game.
Exactly.
I want to put myself into, like, project myself into what I'm seeing on the screen, saying, I'm going to be doing that in 6 months.
Yes.
Right? I'm going to be the one who's running off the cliff, jumping, and then catching the ledge at the last second. I'm going to be the one picking up the guns and shooting it or whatever. Right? And so that's what the same thing here. I need to see what she's doing so that, because then, like I said, once again, I can project myself into that character and say, that's what I'm going to be doing. Can't wait for December when it launches or whatever. Right? So other than that, it's impressive, but I want to see it in action. Let's see this game in action. It's been 3 years since Phil walked out on stage at the Game Awards show. You remember that? 3 years and like 4 months. Okay? It's been that long. And that's when they showed the first trailer. By the way, Mooch, I was eating a peanut when you said, I'm tired of seeing her screaming at the screen. Okay, I almost choked on that peanut. Anyways, you're right, though. It's either that or they're showing me those little the developer diaries of them taking pictures in Iceland.
It's a National Geographic episode.
I could go to the National Geographic channel to watch that.
Right.
I don't want to see the developer diaries of them, eating whale blubber in Iceland.
And I'll give you this though. Listen, let's give credit where credit's due. I'm expecting, and Sean said it. He said he wants to see the gameplay and all of that magnitude grow. Absolutely, but I'm telling you, I have no doubt that the story and the sound is going to be absolutely immaculate. And you might go, well, Mooch, where are you coming up with that? If the first one could be done with 100 people and what they did, and that part of it wowed me, I know that's already on the way. I was just like, okay, now I want to see, even if it's literally 2 minutes, a minute and a half, I just want to see some action.
Fortnite trailer, Mooch.
Just some action.
What I just said. They gave us 4 minutes of Fortnite, a minute and a half of a trailer, and then 2.5 minutes of them running around shooting a gun. Right. I got exactly what I needed out of that 4 minutes. That's all I need.
That's all you needed.
Maybe, E3, they'll probably do something.
Wait a minute,
E3, but you know what I mean.
Wait, and guys, I'll open this up to the panel. We've brought Fortnite up a few times now. That Fortnite trailer preview we saw, when does that actually go live where Fortnite now looks like Call of Duty? Is that now?
It's now.
It is now, isn't it?
Is that called the Mega Pack? Is that what they call that one?
Yeah, it's available for people to develop now. It doesn't mean we're going to get, we're not going to get it now.
You can't play it now.
It was available yesterday.
Okay.
So,
all right.
By the time we get our hands on, let's say, whoever's going to develop these levels, it's probably going to take a few months at least.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's ready to go.
So just to circle back, I just want to say you can't even trust full put together CG trailers anymore without seeing gameplay. There's too many bad faith examples that we could bring up.
Yeah.
Much less a tech demo. I mean, it's all you see is a face. They're not even rendering anything else. That's not an accurate representation of anything. And I don't know if anybody's played the Unreal 5 Matrix demo, but that is a real face that blew me away. I thought I was watching a damn movie. So
that was interesting.
It was impressive. It looked good. I am looking forward to Hellblade. I enjoyed the first one, especially the audio. It was masterfully done.
Audio was phenomenal.
Wasn't a big fan of the puzzles, but I hope they step up the combat a little bit, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, we need to see. I think it's time. We've seen a lot of theoretical stuff. I'm ready to see the real deal in action.
Last thing I wanted to say, as mostly an Xbox skeptic, I love Ninja Theory. I love where they came from. I used to love Heavenly Sword. Enslaved Odyssey to the West is one of my favorite games. So to see them finally get acquired, and this is what I was talking about. This is an opportunity for Xbox to say, hey, this studio is at level A, and we can elevate them, and they could be the forefront for our console, as they showed in December 2019, as Middle Age Gamer just mentioned. So if they don't hit that rhythm, I'm just going to be disappointed. I'm going to think about them treating Ninja Theory the same as they might have treated 343, which is just mismanaged, not allowing them to hit that peak potential. This is it. Yeah. That's the big game. That's a way for me saying I'm going to eat crow now, because now Xbox can elevate other studios and make them Game of the Year contenders. Let's get to that level.
Would we agree?
So it's really bittersweet.
Kofi, would you agree with me, and panel, please chime in on this. Would we agree that Hellblade 2 would probably be a 2024 release at some point?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think it's a 2023 game. I think what, as far as big titles are concerned, I think it's going to be the trio of Redfall, Starfield,
and Forza.
Forza 8, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so we're all on the same. We're at least on the same page. That doesn't mean that we're 100% right. I'm just saying, Sean, that's where I'm at. I think we're getting Redfall in May. Of course, we're getting Starfield in September, and then maybe October or something. We'll get Forza Motorsport. By the way, there's nothing wrong with that lineup at all. Seeing that come in 2024 would be great. I could even see that being later, just not because maybe it even needs the time, but maybe that may be something that they would want to do something around the holiday. There's so many great things to talk about here. I do want to bring this up real quick, and it's funny because I had it lower on my list, but the great Jez7780 is out there right now. I don't know if Jez is listening. Shout out to King Thrash. He says it better release in 2024. No kidding, King. No kidding. I'm with you on that. I mean, enough's enough. 2025, I think that's more than gracious. I completely agree. But I got a question real quick. I want to get back into games in a second. I just got to hear your opinion on it. Sean, I got to go to you because I think you talk to a lot of people that do this game's media, and they do it on a large scale. And again, shout out to Jez7780, who's out there doing an outstanding job of coverage. Where are we on PAX East? Every single year, I see more and more I see more pictures, but I see less and less, pardon me, of people at PAX East. Sean, is PAX East? And it always was smaller, of course, than E3. Much, much, much smaller. Indie focused, all that. And by the way, great stuff being shown. But is PAX East dying, or is it fine? I'm not seeing coverage on it like I used to.
There's nothing to talk about there. Do you know what Nintendo has there?
What?
Super Mario Brothers for the NES, and you could do Nintendo versus against someone to get a high score. No company gives two shits or a damn about this, about PAX East. It's just, for a couple years, it was kind of, decent, but I'm 3 hours away from PAX East. I don't give a shit.
Same here.
I didn't want to go. People are like, why aren't you going? It's like, for what? What am I going to accomplish there? Oh, you can see people. I can see people whenever I want. What is this going to accomplish for me by going here and going to this event? Like a Zelda pin at the Nintendo booth? You can get a Zelda pin. I can't even play Tears of the Kingdom. Like,
right.
No, it's just pointless. It was pointless to me.
Yeah, it really, it's becoming pointless. And I laugh, but I'm kind of upset about it a bit, to be honest with you, just because we're seeing E3 deteriorate. We're seeing PAX go away. And, listen, these companies, they kind of do it to themselves. Sean said it. If Nintendo's there, I remember what it was with E3 back when Breath of the Wild came out. There was a line around the corner to watch that preview, to see that game. They covered it on IGN. All the big channels had it covered. And now they don't even have a 5-minute preview for you to enjoy Tears of the Kingdom or any. And I'm not going to pick on Nintendo. Sony's not there. No, there's nothing there. I was actually shocked to see that Dead Island 2 was there. Maybe that's them just being like, look, we've been on hiatus for so long that we've got to get our message out to everybody. We're going to local malls. We're doing everything. They're probably going to be standing outside your grocery store selling candy bars. Wrote that, which I'm not making fun of it. I can't wait for the game. But my God, shout out to the great TrueWiddy. He says, Ninja Theory is Microsoft's best studio, but I'm worried Microsoft might mismanage the team. We haven't seen much from the studio from 2018 except Bethesda. So, TrueWiddy, I think that you can say that, but the one thing that Microsoft's done now with Bethesda, they're doing it with Ninja Theory, they're going to do it with ABK if they get it, is they're just letting these guys go. I think so. The pro and the con, the pro is you're still going to get the same quality, but better because of the equipment they have now and the more staff and the more resources. So the pro, you're going to get a better game, I think, TrueWiddy. The con here is the fact that that's why it's taking so long. It's because they get to do it at their own pace, their own time, their own this, their own that, their own schedule. They're not really held to the coals on a lot of scheduling, it doesn't seem. So there's a give and take there, TrueWiddy, but I don't think you have to worry about it. Mega Davo, he says, Xbox is trash. Mega Davo, I appreciate the super chat. That was short and to the point.
Hey, can I add to that last one, man? I just want to say
yes, please.
Also, what a lot of people don't seem to remember is when Xbox bought a lot of these studios, they were either just about to release a game or they had just released a game. So in their development cycle, they were right at square one. So you are going to be waiting 4 to 5 years, maybe longer,
Yeah, well, absolutely. That's true. But, you hope with resources and more money and a better studio where maybe before they were piecing things together and now that they don't have to do that, you would hope that it would be a little bit faster gamut. But I do understand that. I really, really do. Do you guys agree with Sean? And by the way, Sean, can I ask? PAX East is always in Boston, if I'm not wrong. Is it also in Boston this year again, or that vicinity, that area?
Yeah, it's in Boston.
It is. Okay, that's what I thought. Mag, Kofi, Gamut, what do you guys think about it? And I'm moving on to another subject here in a second. Is PAX East, is it a thing for you?
Listen, I'm gonna chime in quick because I actually have to get going here.
That's right, Mag. I apologize.
I'm on kid duty tonight. It's okay, but it's been a pleasure, guys. It's been amazing. But the PAX East, listen, the Iron Lords are there right now.
Yes,
and I've been locking. But I haven't seen anything. I just see them hanging out and drinking, and I'm just like, well, that seems like an awesome time. But I don't see any like, oh, we're playing this game or that game or whatever. So I'm like, so what's actually? It's funny you brought this up as a subject tonight because I literally every time I look at their updates from Lord Cognito and King David, and I'm like, but what are they playing?
Yeah.
And so I don't see anything about the games. I just see a lot of martinis and a lot of Mexican food.
So which looks great, by the way. Looks great.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, I want to be there. I want to be there with them.
Like a small con.
Yeah, I want to be there with them, but for the food and drink.
Yeah,
I want to hang out. I want to hang out. I don't see any
games. It's the same thing. Like, I'm going to be in LA for E3, right? So I'm flying into LA for that, and I'm going to be there for the whole week. Basically, I'm going to be drunk for the entire week. I don't even know if I'm going to get to the games. But anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is that I don't really know what's going on. To me, it kind of comes across as one of those, like when you go to a smaller Comic-Con, like you might have like the New York Comic-Con, that's a big one. The San Diego Comic-Con, that's a big one. And then you have the Niagara Falls Comic-Con, where you have like the third biker from Sons of Anarchy that nobody remembers his name is the big draw. I think it's become that kind of a thing, right? You know what I mean? Like a second-rate Comic-Con sort of vibe. And I don't hear anybody talking about it really. Like you go to IGN, like some of the big sites, they got nothing. I don't see any articles about it. I don't see anything going on. I think it's just one of those things. Like you go.
I was shocked.
You check a couple things out.
I was shocked it was a thing this year. Like when I was talking to Jez, they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to it." And I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't even see it. It wasn't on the radar. It didn't even hit." So I was just kind of shocked.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was going on.
I only knew because of King David and Lord Cognito's posts. That was it. And then I'm like, oh, it's on right now. And then I saw pictures of them walking around like Boston or whatever. I'm like, okay, I guess it's on. And I had no clue. But like I said, go to the major news sites. They're talking about ABK.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, of course, the potential Spider-Man 2 release date because the voice actor there said something. So, he let slip that he thinks it's like September. So those are the only two news stories I've been hearing the last couple of days is the Spider-Man 2 release date and the ABK deal. Other than that, PAX East is like, huh? Like, no one, you know what I mean? It's just not really there. So I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah.
Anyways, boys.
No,
I gotta
great,
run.
Mag. I appreciate it. I really, really do.
Yeah. You guys are awesome.
Mag.
That was a great time tonight, guys. You guys are all amazing. Chat, you guys were awesome too. You guys are great. So, anyways, we'll do this again sometime.
Appreciate it, Mag. I forgot,
Hey,
Mag.
just make sure you give us another unicorn video, bro. I'm waiting for the next
I'll,
one.
Yes,
I'll
please.
do something. Don't worry. I don't want to piss off too many people because But anyways,
No, great
guys,
stuff.
have a great night.
Appreciate
We'll
it,
talk
Mag.
soon.
Thank you, buddy.
All right.
Appreciate. I forgot. Mag writes to me earlier. He says, Mooch, I only got to about 8:30 Eastern time. I said, okay, we can make that work. I forgot all about it. That's what I do. I mooch people's times as well. I apologize, Mag. Appreciate you being here tonight.
Anytime, brother. All right, you guys continue the show. I'll keep listening in the background.
That's all I could ask. I really appreciate it, Mag. We'll be in touch soon.
All right, brother. Have a good one. Good night, guys.
Night, buddy. So let me ask this question here. I got to go to Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores, the DLC. $20. Sean, is that a fair price? I mean, I do believe, I hate to tap into my memory banks here. I do believe you played through Forbidden West. I thought you liked it. If I'm wrong, now's the time to correct me. I am wrong. Damn it. Shoot. I was right there.
I'm not really a fan.
Not a big fan of Horizon
games. There's too much talking. And
It's
that's
a lot
such a
of
weird thing to
talking.
say, but like, shut the fuck up. Like, there's just all this dialogue and constant talking, and it drove me nuts. I played it for like probably 10 or 15 hours, and like I just got to a point where I was like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, it's a fine game. I understand why people like it. It's just not for me for some reason.
Yeah. Do you think that the $20 is worth it for the DLC? It's a PS5 exclusive at this point. It's not going to be coming to PS4.
Right, it's not coming to PS4. How long have they said like how long it's going to be, or like how long it's supposed to?
So good
last?
question. I did not see a time or length, but I think everyone said that the DLC that came out for Horizon Zero Dawn was, I think they also charged for it, A, and B, I believe they said it was definitely, the length of it was fine and that it pleased the customer. Yes. So I think it would be on par with that, but that's not fair for me to really say.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. It's hard for me to. It is interesting that the game is, on PlayStation Plus right now. If you have the extra or the premium, so like technically you could just download it if you never bought it, and then buy the DLC for the $20 and have the complete game. But I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm not a fan enough to really talk about it too much.
No, I hear you. Shout out to Crap. He says, not a lot of talk from the Sony fans today. They're quiet. Crap, honestly, I think I got to use your words here. Same thing happened when Sony got Bungie. We kind of talked about this for the first, maybe the middle half hour, 40 minutes of the show. But, the ABK deal, really, it doesn't, off the cuff, it really doesn't move the needle much. All the games, Diablo 4 comes out on PS5, right? The next Diablo 5 won't be out for 10 years. Call of Duty is going to be on PlayStation for the next 10 years at least. Overwatch really is in the same boat. Can't really exist without more people, user base. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like when Bungie went to Sony. It's like all the games just stayed on Xbox. I don't really see this being a big move. Will this be something down the road? Maybe with some new IP. But right now, I mean, Activision is just focused and tunnel driven on making the great games that they have that make so much money on multiplats. The money that they're making and making duplicates there. So, I mean, we kind of got into all of that earlier, but I don't think it doesn't really move the needle that much as of today. Does it make Microsoft a lot more money? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the point. And Bungie's making Sony a lot of money. That's the point. That's not the stuff that we see or care about because we don't get even 5% for that. But nonetheless, good to see Crap here in the audience. I appreciate it. What do you think, Gamers Gamut? I got to go to you on the Horizon Forbidden West DLC. Are you in or are you out?
Oh, I'm in. I'm in. I really enjoyed the original Horizon. I thought it had a really good story. It really pulled me in. And so I was looking forward to Forbidden West. And of course, like when you fire that game up, like the fidelity just hits you right in the face. Still one of the greater looking games of this gen so far, in my opinion. It had a slow start to it, so I kind of took me a while to get into it. And at the end, like RTG said, I kind of stopped caring about a few of the little things, but I'm not going to ruin anything, but I like where the story goes, and it opens up a lot of different possibilities. So I want to see what they do with those possibilities in this DLC. And I'm really excited that it's going to be, finally, instead of having 1 foot in last generation and 1 foot in this generation, I want to see what can Guerrilla do with the full horsepower? Like, what can they do right now at this stage? Their engine is pretty good. They have a good track record. And if Forbidden West looks that good as a cross-platform title, let's see what it looks like on the PS5 all alone. Is it going to be a noticeable difference? I'm not sure, but I'm sure looking forward to finding out.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. Kofi, where are you on the Forbidden West? I mean, this is such a polarizing game. There's people who are diehard. I don't know if Jack Reeves is still here in the chat, but I believe Jack Reeves he's a huge fan of that game. Kofi, are you a big fan of the game, a moderate fan, and what do you think about the $20 for a PS5 exclusive DLC?
I am direly in love with Horizon.
Wow, this is what I'm saying. It's so all over the place.
Platinum. Oh yeah, the Frozen Wilds DLC for the original, I sucked up every single moment of lore and conversation. I guess I was the polar opposite of RGT. I won't talk about any spoilers or anything like that, but there's some deep conversations at the end of that DLC. My eyeballs were touching the screen. I was just like, yes, give me this information. And it's because of the sci-fi nature. I think it's just what I love in lore and in storytelling, especially with games. And so as this has unfolded, more details are unfolded in Forbidden West with, where they are, what they're finding out about people who are alive and may have survived.
So great. Great.
I'm like a sponge, man. I'm just sucking it in. One other thing, so the Frozen Wilds DLC did so much more with the motion technology from the base game on PS4. So now that this new DLC, Burning Shores, is only on PS5 and it's that same level of progression, my expectations are also going to be elevated. I'm going to expect to see less strange nuances between character conversations. Like, for example, one thing that Forbidden West does really great is NPCs will mention things that you've done if you've done them, only if you've done them. But you can kind of see some flaws in how they move when I feel like the game is like chaining together the things that they should say. I feel like things like that are going to be even more natural now because of how well Frozen Wilds had evolved from Zero Dawn.
Yes.
So also I wanted to add, I'm sure people here already know this, but it is DLC only for if you finish the core game. So it is not the same type of expansion as Frozen Wilds was for Zero Dawn. So I'm hyped. April 19th cannot come sooner. The ranged bow gameplay, I love playing as a ranger. And I get people want melee combat. I play Wolong, I play, games where you slash people up, but I just love sniping people. So this is for me. And I love traps. I love just setting a bunch of bombs and then just letting the enemies run into each other. It's like, oh, that's all I need. That's all I need in the afternoon, to set some bombs up in Horizon and watch people kill themselves. So cannot wait.
That's really funny. No,
do you think we're going to see a noticeable difference since it's next gen only? Like, if you had to predict, do you think it's going to be a noticeable difference, or do you think it's just a little too early to for them to tap into all that?
Because of how they took advantage of Decima last time, I think it is. I don't know how necessarily. Maybe field of view when you're, traveling in Forbidden West. I don't want to say too much, but sometimes the field of view is a little bit of a, invitation. I think they're going to touch on something with the presentation and how we traverse the environment. Not that it's
Mhm.
bad at all, but I just think only PS5. I think it's going to be an underrated DLC.
That's the part
Whatever happens.
that's really got me intrigued. The fact that we're finally going to see something from Gorilla just for the PS5, that's kind of a big deal. I mean, I'm going to throw the $20 at it just because I want to see it. I did platinum for Forbidden West, and there really wasn't for me a big difference between Forbidden West and Zero Dawn. Zero Dawn, I'm with Sean. I do agree with him. There was a ton of still a little too much talking, probably in Forbidden West as well. But because of the character models being a little bit better, I thought the action and the play was much better than Zero Dawn. Zero Dawn was very, it just felt like it was, I'm going to use the word sticky. It was just kind of like, it just didn't have that flow. I think they worked on that quite a bit for Forbidden West. I enjoyed the mechanics a lot more. So I'm intrigued by something like that personally. Just looking at a few things here. I've got to ask you guys a question real quick. What's going on with the Diablo 4 open beta? Have you guys gotten a chance to play it? I have not had a chance yet.
I have not.
Neither have I.
Gambit?
No, I haven't, and I heard it was nuking certain people's PC cards. I don't know, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it.
I am too.
But I'm gonna wait till it fully releases just to see what's going on.
Sean, are you going to play the game when it comes out, or that's just not even a thing for you?
I did play Diablo 3 because I had never played Diablo prior to that because I wasn't a PC gamer. I never played like Diablo 1 on the PlayStation 1 or anything like that. I had fun with it. I might check it out for a little bit, see what's up.
Yeah, I to me, listen, so you guys know this. I bought Diablo 3, I believe it was on the 360. I bought it on PC. I bought it on Mac. You guys are going to laugh at that one. That's fine. Then I bought it on the Xbox One, and I think I have it now also on the PS4. I'm not 100% certain. I did play it through a bunch of times. I do love Diablo 3. It's one of my favorite games. It's not perfect. You guys know that. You guys will critique it. I have yet to try the open beta. I didn't pre-order it. I wanted to be able to play it first, but everyone's just saying they're having server issues or they're playing, they get so far, and then it absolutely crashes on them. I thought maybe I'd wait till tomorrow. Especially with, like I said, I'm still wrapping up Hogwarts and I'm playing RE4 Remake right now. So no big rush there. But do you guys think that this, I think this is going to be a phenomenal game at the end of when everything's all said and done. Kofi, are you ever going to get into something like, I know from the games you tell me you play, this doesn't seem like it would be something you're going to be in line for day one. But have you played any of the Diablo games?
I have only briefly played Diablo 2, and that was like a friend of mine had brought up his old PC in college, and it was really fun. I do like the what's the mode that you die? It's like a permadeath mode. I forget. That's the one that I had played. Shows how much I know.
Oh, geez, I don't even remember that.
I forget some mode where it's like a hardcore mode where like everything that you have, once you die, you go all the way back, almost like a rogue, but you're out and exploring.
The
But
only permadeath games I ever really play are The Last of Us. That was the only really games that I play that are permadeath. I really don't know because after I got done playing through on Diablo, I would play, I believe they're called the Rifts. So I would play through the Rifts. Those are fun, but they're not, you know what I mean? But it's a continuation of the game for the most part. So, I mean, it's, it is what it is. I don't know. I just see so many people enjoying it. I don't know. I think it's going to be massive. And nothing's coming out in June that I can think of. So I think
than Final Fantasy.
Oh, that's right.
Street Fighter 6.
Street Fighter 6.
Oh,
shoot.
Yeah, June's packed.
I guess June is
now.
packed.
June is looking killer.
I forgot about that. That's right. I, for some reason, still have winter in my mind for Final Fantasy 16. I still think winter. It's not. It's this damn June. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like I said, it's nonstop, guys. You've got April. I'm saying Dead Island 2, and I'm saying, you've got Survivor. May, you've got Redfall. You've got Tears of the Kingdom. June, you have those 3 games you just mentioned. Do we get a break in July, or did I slip on that one? We got another 8 games coming out. I think July and August relax a bit.
Yeah,
we don't even get breaks anymore to like go and touch up our backlog. Like it used to be, like in the summer we could go and do some backlog games. And
Yeah.
kind of, you can't even do that anymore.
Yeah,
Or if you do, you're still trying to work on the stuff that came out this year.
Yeah, shout out to TrueWiddy with the super chat. I appreciate that. He says Microsoft will bring. TrueWiddy is really, really concerned about this. Well, I shouldn't say concerned, but he definitely brings it up. He says Microsoft will break their word. All will be exclusive. I don't think that's just able to happen, TrueWiddy. I know that's great console war talk, and no one likes that stuff more than I do. I hear you, but I just don't think that's going to happen. And if it does, it's a decade plus. And not to say that that's an okay thing. But at that point, we have to go back to what Mag was saying, what Sean said here earlier. We don't know what the 10 years is going to bring us. So I wouldn't really worry about that, TrueWiddy. I wanted to make sure I read that out loud for you.
They're interested in revenue. They're interested in revenue.
At this point, 100%, Gam. Well, two things. Revenue and keeping Game Pass full.
Yep.
Just keeping it full with new content. All right, so let me ask this question here. I know this is just kind of a fun question. But, I believe his name was Tony Todd, who does the voice for... Is he the voice for Venom? Come out and he says Spider-Man 2's release date. The media does their job at certain points, and they'll say, hey, they're interviewing him. When do you think that game's going to come out? When's Spider-Man 2 going to come out? And he said you're going to see September with a massive push for media in August. And he kind of slipped. And you could see he went on social media the rest of the day to be like, oh, I didn't know what I was talking about. He kind of makes some jokes. So shout out to him for that. Kofi, what do you think here? First of all, two-part question. A, do you think we're getting Spider-Man in September? And B, everyone wanted to see Starfield versus God of War, which would have been an interesting battle. But now we're going to see Starfield versus Spider-Man. And I know Starfield is going to be on PC, so it's not a one-for-one comparison. But how do you think this match is going to make out if they both do come out in September?
And so I should have looked this up first. Doesn't the new Spider-Verse movie also come out this fall? And I feel like Sony would want to time this entertainment almost like they did with The Last of Us. Having, a new Last of Us release, whether it's a remake or not, and then have the show to match having a Spider-Man game and the movie. So people go to the theater, oh, that was great, and then they want to go spend more time with Spider-Man.
I think you're right.
And they can go buy the game. So if that movie comes out, maybe it doesn't have a release date yet, but I feel like that movie might be in October. I think it's perfect to have a September window. People can have the game out. A PlayStation advertisement. Watch this. Get some plates, custom PlayStation 5 plates with Spidey, Miles, or Venom plates. That's going to sell like hotcakes, in my opinion. So I think there's a huge opportunity like that. But the second point that you mentioned has me more excited. A Starfield versus Spider-Man kind of showdown reminds me, I hate to say this, but it reminds me of the Xbox versus PlayStation of old, right? When the best or the most popular IPs can come out next to each other, and you can kind of say, oh, which one is better? I always love the idea of competition. I know these two console ecosystems are so unique now from each other.
No, I agree with you.
I think they will be September. I think he's kind of slipped up, and to me, it just feels right.
So the first Spider-Man came out in September, so this does feel right, to be honest with you. I think this is 100% spot on. I think this thing comes out in September, and I don't think that this is I don't think so. Maybe the God of War thing may have been maybe it would have been deliberate, maybe not, to go head-to-head with Starfield. I don't think this is deliberate in any means whatsoever. I think Microsoft knows that Bethesda needs a little extra time with Starfield, so the reason you were saying, Mooch, what's the difference? They want to get that out in September because the Forza team is going to want to come out with their game shortly thereafter, probably October. It depends on how the Forza team is doing and how Turn 10 is doing. If they're doing fine, I could see an end of October release. I could see an early to mid-November release for Forza if they, in fact, need more time. So I do think that's the situation. RGT, just for fun, Spider-Man 2, first of all, are you excited for it? Do you think Tony Todd actually leaked the September date? And how does Spider-Man fare, even though we're just kind of making this up against Starfield? It's not really a one-for-one.
Yes, I'm excited. Yes, I think the leak is accurate. I mean, they said it was going to be a fall 2023 game.
Yes.
And obviously we need to see like how's it going to be different
Correct.
from the first game. But Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales are some of my favorite PlayStation exclusive games ever.
Yep.
So I'm super looking forward to it. I mean, Spider-Man's going to sell. You can't really, like you said, you can't really compare Starfield to Spider-Man because one platform that Starfield is like, I'm sure it'll move units on the PC, but on Xbox the amount of people that will actually buy it is probably pretty small comparative to
right.
If you want to play Spider-Man, you have to buy Spider-Man. So, but it'll be a good time.
Yeah, no, Sean, you just brought up a good point, though, when it comes down to it. Spider-Man 2, I'm hoping, and you might say, well, Mooch, that's really wishful thinking on your part, but how much do you really change a game like Spider-Man? I think, what can they do to take this to the next level? I mean, I know that they said that they've got some new speech technology they're working on, things like that, to maybe make it a more one-for-one, to give it more of that when the cutscenes kick in. There's an even better form of being that immersion into the story and what's going on. But I mean, Sean, they've got to do something. What is it that you would have to see? Because listen, I did see your video where you were doing, I believe it was with the Steam Deck, and you were like, listen, you got to buy this game. When Spider-Man came out on Steam, you're like, you just have to buy this game. It's one of my favorite games, and to be able to play this on the go, you gave it a rave review. So,
yes.
I mean, what do they have to do to impress you? Or are you okay with a bit of more of the same?
I will see. I feel like Miles Morales was the bit of more of the same.
Yep.
If Miles Morales
Correct.
didn't exist, then Spider-Man 2 could be a bit of more of the same, just expanded upon. But now we're talking about, a game that's in its third, realistically, even though it's Spider-Man 2. I mean, I kind of consider Miles Morales, a bit of a side sequel, maybe, or something like that. You have to do something, and I don't even necessarily know what that is. Multiple Spider-Men. I mean, that's cool, but is that playing as Venom potentially? Okay, that could be very interesting. But how do you make the city more grand? How do you make everything, like, I feel like everything just has to be bigger, but they did such a good job with the first Spider-Man game. It's like, well, where do you really go with it? I honestly have no idea. Like, I would not like to be in their shoes trying to figure out this new gameplay hook, because, back in the day, it was like, when you look at the Spider-Man games, Spider-Man 1 came out on like the N64, Dreamcast. Maybe there was a there was a PS1 version, and everyone was just like, okay, whatever.
Right.
And then Spider-Man 2 came out on like GameCube and PS2 and Xbox, and everyone was like, holy shit, this is awesome. And it sold really well. And then they just kept reskinning that game. They were like, all right, let's throw another skin on it. It'll be the Amazing Spider-Man. Instead of a realistic style, it's going to be like a cartoony style. But it was the same gameplay. Like, everything was the freaking, and they made so many of those games. So obviously they're not going to do something like that, but I do feel like they need to do something different. I just don't know what that's going to be.
It's fun. As you're saying it, I'm legitimately, I never shut up anyways, RGT. I'll talk. And as you're saying this, I'm like, man, he's spot on. I've been sitting there and I'm like, I'm excited for Spider-Man 2. I am ridiculously excited for it. But I think what I'm excited for is the fluid motion getting better. Maybe the city looking better. Maybe the city being more lifelike, right? There's more going on when you touch down on the street. Not that it was desolate or awful, but it definitely could use a little bit more there. Maybe also not better. What did you guys think of the villains in the first one? I mean, did you guys, the way they kind of threw the villains at you, I kind of would rather have one focused bad guy instead of like that conglomerate of evil villains.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the story in the first Spider-Man game, I didn't give a shit about it. I loved the gameplay, but the story didn't do anything for me. Miles Morales had a fantastic story. That was great. That's what kept me wanting to go back and wanting to play it more.
Yes.
So I think you need to find a bit of a balance. Obviously Miles Morales had improved, combat, I felt, over the first Spider-Man game. So once again, that's something like, what do you do with the combat? Do you just keep it in the Miles Morales style? Do you try to expand upon it more? But I think you need to find a balance, because I feel like the thing about Miles Morales, the reason the story works so well is because that was kind of a shorter game than Spider-Man 1 was. So you got to find that happy medium to where it's like, you don't want a Final Fantasy VII remake situation where you're clearly just padding shit for time to extend the length of the game without really doing anything to the story. You want to keep things moving, but you want to keep the player engaged. So yeah, it's a pretty difficult balance.
No, it really is. I'm seeing a few people here in the chat. TrueWiddy's back on the super chat. He says Spider-Man 2 dialogue choices, multiple endings.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I could definitely deal with something like that. I mean, Kofi or Gamut, what do you guys think? I mean, me and Sean are going back and forth. What do you need to see in Spider-Man 2 to separate, I mean, and the reason we're talking so much about Spider-Man 2 is, of course, the Tony Todd leak, which was great. Again, it just, all it does is really confirm. We knew it was coming this fall. Now it's basically confirmed without being confirmed. but we don't have the Sony showcase yet, which is supposed to be coming. Shout out to the great Jeff Grubb, who was on the show a few weeks ago. He did a quick impromptu, popped on the show. And he, again, I always say this, do not run with this. Jeff heard, okay? Jeff, just because Jeff heard doesn't, you can't say, I see people run from podcasts right to say, well, Jeff said this and that's it. So give Jeff his space there. But at the same time, he did hear we may be seeing a showcase before or right around that E3 mark. So, Gamut, what do you think when you hear about this? I mean, what needs to happen in Spider-Man 2 to kind of take that next step up besides natural progression of hardware use?
Right. So I think as far as the leak goes, I think it's really funny that he just didn't play the PR game at all and just blatantly blurted out when it's coming out with all the details. And then the very next day he had to backtrack. He obviously got a text message or an angry phone call. It's very, so that kind of solidifies the validity. September makes complete sense. As far as deliberately going at Starfield, like, I think that would be hard to do, seeing as how Starfield hasn't even really landed on a specific date until just recently. So, I mean, we're dealing with lots of money, big projects. You know, it seems. I mean, console war, it sounds great, but it seems a little petty for big money. But you never know. It would be the first time Sony has done something like that. But as far as Spider-Man
good point,
goes,
by the way, Gamut. Good point.
Thank you. And as far as Spider-Man 2, I don't think they need to change a whole lot. I think it's going to be about refinement. And if, like RGT says, if they focus on the story and give me a good reason to be there, I think I'm happy. I think the Spider-Man games they've already made were very well done. And I felt like I was playing in a comic or a Spider-Man movie. I think if they just trim out some of the unnecessary open world filler, like, this is a pet peeve of mine. It's going to come up constantly, but I don't like when game developers put the same 5 activities and just spread it out in different sections of the map. Like, so every time I enter a new section, I know what I'm to expect. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I want it to feel more organic and just cut out some of that filler. Maybe, you know, don't hit me with the Mary Jane slow sequences. Just all killer, no filler. Give me a really good story and just repeat with that same gameplay, and I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that. Shout out to TrueWiddy again. He says, Elia, and include Spider-Man Gwen or Spider-Gwen for the he's saying get the multiverse involved. I'm not saying that's
I've had enough of that.
I'm not going to say it's an awful idea. TrueWiddy, I don't see that happening. I just don't see it happening. You know, that's just me personally. Kofi, where are you on this before we switch subjects real quick?
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm excited about a Spider-Verse just yet, but I do want to entertain a world that Wolverine is realized and maybe other people in the Marvel universe. So you don't have to have, you know, multiple Peter Parkers or anything like that right now. But if Wolverine is somehow referenced or other people in the city, I'm going to admit this right now. I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan. I secretly just want a Doctor Strange game because I think that the technology with using portals for transmission could be profound if done correctly. To be able to like jump through a ring and transport somewhere through user control would be awesome. So, but I think it should be done in a very respectful way. What I mean is, don't mention 17 characters. Oh, all these people, you know, could potentially be in the next Spider-Man game. No. Just say, you know, be very subtle and respectful about it and have Spider-Man still feel like an isolated experience or a standalone experience.
You guys,
that would really blow my mind. And I just really want a huge, you know, badass fight between Venom and Spider-Man. Something that really just core memory level stuff.
You know, it's funny. I think you were just saying it, Gamut. If it was you, I apologize. One of you was saying it right as shout out to Jay Swade in the chat. He goes, Mooch, it would be cool to see a Logan cameo in Spider-Man 2, like the ending of a Marvel movie. That's what one of you guys was just saying. Why not? Why wouldn't Insomniac tie in a Logan cameo into Spider-Man 2 to really prep from 2? Because listen, I'm a clear believer that Wolverine is a 2025 game. And I think maybe that's me even the cart before the horse. That may be a little too soon. I don't know. Because, I mean, you do have Insomniac's A-team working on Spider-Man. They're not going to hold back on that to work on Wolverine. So I really think that they're probably working a bit in unison here. But at the same time, that's a fantastic idea.
Though. They're pretty prolific, man. They have really surprised me this generation. They are single-handedly killing the game right now.
No, I completely agree. My last topic here for you guys, I got to bring this up because I have to ask you both. Actually, pardon me, all three of you. Fort Solis or Solace is coming to PlayStation 5 and PC this summer. It's a sci-fi horror game that stars Troy Baker and Roger Clark. And for any of you, I know everybody knows who Troy Baker is, but Roger Clark was, I believe, Red Dead Redemption 2's Arthur Morgan. This was a game that was at E3 last year on stage. They came out, was it E3 on stage? They both came out and they did they basically introduced this and that. They talked about it, but it was so far back, I really don't remember much of it. It's a single-player, third-person thriller built on UE5, Unreal Engine 5, of course. No camera cuts, no load times or HUD. Set over the course of one long night on Mars. Key sequences with multiple story change outcomes. Play on the surface of Mars or underground. And explore Fort Solis, if I'm saying it right, which comprises of one central base with 9 or more individual structures. That's basically the details on the game. Do you guys, I'll start with Sean. Sean, do you remember that game when they had Arthur Morgan, Roger Clark, and Troy Baker come out on stage and talk about this game? I believe it was last summer.
No, but I just looked it up, and now I remember it.
You remember now? Yeah, you do remember, because I remember when they came on stage, nobody made a big deal of it, because I think at the time, they only announced it for PC.
Yeah.
Now it's PS5 and PC. What's your take on it? I mean, do the voice actors do anything for you? Does the game do anything for you?
No, I don't give a shit about voice actors. People, it's terrible for me to say, but I think people put way too much stock into it. Unless it's a Metal Gear Solid situation, because Queefer Sutherland can burn for the rest of eternity. I want David Hayter back. You ruined my experience with Metal Gear Solid 5. Beyond that, though, it's an interesting enough premise. You know, the no cuts, no loading. Like, I would assume you're going to be able to save the game. Like,
yeah,
I have questions about, like, what am I doing? Because, like, all the gameplay doesn't really show. There was like a thing where it's like you got like a moon or a Mars truck that you're driving.
Yes.
And stuff like that. It's like, what am I doing? Am I killing aliens? Am I running away from aliens? Is it like Aliens Isolation, which is a fantastic game? There should be more games like it. It has potential. I'll keep my eye on it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Very funny that you say that. So I've grown over the years, RGT. I got to tell you, Sean, I used to say the same thing. I feel like I was like, when are we ever going to get a chance? All of us YouTubers, can we get a chance at a voice acting gig? I'd love an opportunity like that. But it's funny, as I've kind of gotten more and more into doing the podcast over the years, and we analyze the games more and more, I will say this much. There's a handful of these really talented ones. And what I mean by that is, like, Troy Baker, for example, just use him as an example. Troy Baker does multiple voices, also Nolan North. Then when you see them do an interview, okay, you go, wow, they don't sound like the character I just listened to a game for 50 hours. That's intriguing. That means they actually acted the voice. Whereas there's other times someone who's a voice actor will come out and do an interview after the game, and when they talk, it's just, that's the voice of the character. Now, that doesn't mean that they did a great job acting. They did a great job acting, but they didn't change their voice at all. I feel like some of the elite voice actors in gaming are the ones that do multiple games, and they have multiple different accents and how they talk and how they completely change how they are in everyday life. To me, that's where the talent really starts to shine in that category. I think that Troy Baker is one of those people. Roger Clark, I have to abstain right now. I know how he sounded as Arthur Morgan. That's not his regular voice. But I want to see how he portrays his character in Fort Solis and see, or it's either Solis or Solace, guys. I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. But I want to see how he does it there to see if he makes that next move to that elite situation. So, Kofi, what do you think? I think Sean really put a good perspective on it. Is this game on your radar at all? It's this summer.
I'll be honest with you. I think I might have been in a black hole or under a rock. I saw the trailer, and then I was told that this was already shown. I said, when? I've never seen this before.
I believe it was last summer.
Yeah, I guess. I just missed it. So I did watch the trailer, I think, earlier today. It does kind of look interesting. I'll be honest. I think maybe I need to rewatch it, or it's not on my radar right now. It doesn't look bad. I do love the idea of actors. You know, Nolan North, Drake is one of my favorite characters ever. Troy Baker's obviously amazing, but they're not going to push me over to commit to this game just yet. I want to see a little bit more. Maybe there's been something shown that I haven't. I feel like I saw some sort of narrative trailer, walking down hallways, but I didn't see much.
Yeah.
Is there something else?
Well,
Did I miss something?
so you make
No,
a good
it does
point.
seem like a very narrative-driven game.
No, it
Okay.
doesn't, and that's the thing. I'm wondering. That's what concerns me is when you have a game and you go out there and spend that kind of money. Because let's be honest, you are going to pay a certain higher tier. You know, let's be honest. Troy Baker and Roger Clark probably cost more than Kofi and Mooch showing up, right? So I'm just saying So I'm just saying when you do that, that sometimes is a bit of a red flag for me for the game. To say, well, wait a minute, maybe they're hiding behind these big stars' names to get attention for the game. I think the game needs to do the talking. You know what I mean? Not the voice actor. The voice actors aren't going to carry it. By the way, shout out to Ryan Landis. He says, Mooch, oh yeah, you think you can do it? He goes, let me hear you yell on Batman. I'll prepare for next week, Ryan. I will prepare for next week. I promise. Element of Pio, who's here? He says,
I tell you what,
Go ahead,
Mooch
Gammon.
would play the best damn radio jockey you ever seen, though.
Well, I try my best. I really, really do. You know, I thought I would get a call from WNBC, but I never got a call. I was waiting when Bob Costas retired. I thought I would have got a gig. I didn't get that call. I'm still waiting for it. Kiefer Sutherland says, pardon me, Element P. says, Kiefer Sutherland was the best Solid Snake. He sounds just like Kiefer. Just kidding. Be careful.
Oh,
Sean will
I was
jump
gonna
through the
say.
screen, and he'll attack you, Element of P.O., and I don't want that to happen. So shout out to the great Sir X-Man. He says, great show, Mooch. Sir X-Man, thank you for being here, buddy, and thank you for 39 months as a Mooch Maniac family member. It means the world to me. Thank you. Is it Damion? He says, Mooch, you can very easily be a voice actor. I appreciate that. The great Blaze 4K, Blaze, gifts out 5 memberships to the channel. Blaze, he says, I had something come up. I couldn't make it. Listen, Blaze, honestly, I appreciate you more than anything, buddy. You know that. I love what you do. I love what you do on podcasting. I love how you're just the truth on Twitter. So shout out to Blaze 4K, guys. You know, go over and check him out on Saturday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. Blaze used to do his show on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. He moved it over. Solidcast is now on Saturdays at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Shout out to Blaze and the crew over there. Shout out to Red Hood, Solid Rev. Trying to think of all the guys that do the show over there. Those are the guys that I've always seen repeatedly on there. So shout out to Blaze. Please appreciate that, guys. And he's giving out gifts. Comes here. He's such an Italian. I swear to God, he's got to be like my cousin that I don't know about. You know what I mean? That's what Italian people do. They show up. They just bring things. He's like, I can't come empty-handed. I brought some gifts. Blaze, I appreciate that, buddy. You're the best. Guys, outstanding show tonight. What a way to go out with a bang. I really appreciate everybody that's here. What a panel. What a chat. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you again to Blaze for the gifts of the subs. That means the world to me. You guys are all outstanding folks. I want to say we'll go in reverse order here as we do our outros. And yes, I will also plug the folks that couldn't make it here tonight. The great RGT85. Sean, honestly, great show tonight. Thank you for taking time out of your weekend here to be here with us on CrossFire. Games are out. I hope you're not doing any videos over the week. I hope you're enjoying yourself, but I know I still will see something from you. You're that dedicated. You're that hardcore. And let's go Knicks and let's go Mets. Sean, thanks for being here, buddy. Let people know where they can find you.
No, weekends don't exist in my world. I have tons of videos I need to make, including, because, I sold I haven't gotten, it's not out of my house yet, but I sold all my retro stuff. So I bought a mini PC with a 10 terabyte drive that had all like the emulators and ISOs and ROMs all hooked up to it. So I bought a bunch of USB controllers,
yes,
mimicking the original system, so that when I play the original system, I can use a USB controller to simulate the experience. So I want to review all of those controllers. So I'm working on that, working on this, that, and the other. But yeah, I'm RGT85. You can go to my channel and see my Resident Evil 4 video review where my editor left a mistake in, and I yelled at him a bunch because, I mean, why is he like, I leave mistakes in because I hate watching myself back, but I'm paying him and he left a fucking mistake in, but it's all good.
I love how you guys play that on the show and on the videos. It's great, man. It's so good. Behind the scenes stuff that you guys put on screen, I think that's always, it's worth its weight in gold. So Sean, please keep up the great work, man. I love it.
Thank you.
Awesome to have Sean here. The great Kofi, who is with us, creative Kofi. Kofi, listen, usually we get into a lot more of some of the JRPGs, things that are going on there. I'm telling you right now, Kofi, please, when May comes, Give me the week that you can be here. We want to talk. We definitely want to talk Zelda Tears of the Kingdom with you. That just cannot exist without you. And also the great Chris Righteous. Shout out to Chris Righteous as well. But Kofi,
Yes.
let everybody know where they can find you. And thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Chris Righteous. He is definitely the go-to guy. I mean, just dropping knowledge on Twitter every other day. So yeah, shout out to him. But yeah, as usual, guys, I import Japanese games. I love talking about Japanese games, especially if they have staggered release dates, as in they're only out in Japan now. For example, I just finished Disgaea 7, which is a great tactics game that's coming out later in the West. I thought it was very good. I probably should post more of those reviews on my Twitter channel, creative, or on my Twitter handle, creative_Kofi. But yeah, I'm always trying to talk about Japanese games, Japanese info. So I'm really excited to interact with anybody who likes that kind of stuff. But I do play other games, Gran Turismo 7. I probably will play some Battlefield when I get some free time. So yeah, catch me out on Twitter.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Kofi. Gamers Gamut, man, I got to be honest with you, man. Also outstanding to have you on the show, buddy. Again, I reached out to him last minute, and I really appreciate him coming on the show and adding and contributing as he always does. Gamut, let people know where they can find you. And again, thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, man. I appreciate it. It's been two fantastic shows, man. It's been great. I do also want to give a shout out to Blaze 4K. He's one of the reasons I finally jumped on the PC gaming bandwagon. Keeps showing these clips of this game called From Within, and I was just like, you know what, man, I'm missing out on some shit over here. So he finally got my butt moving. So shout out to that guy. But yeah, you can find me at Gamers Gamut on YouTube and at Gamers Gamut YT on Twitter.
Awesome, Gamut. And then I'll do a plug here real quick. Again, shout out to Middle-Aged Game Guy. Shout out to Mag. Mag does Colt's show on Monday nights. And he also does the great Boomsticks show on Monday mornings and Friday mornings, I believe, as well. So shout out to Mag. Appreciate him being here. And BRAP, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. He was out tonight. He says, Mooch, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. I always tell him Happy Hour and Crossfire, not always the greatest mix, but we love having him here anyways. So shout out to BRAP. Go over and check him out Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. Xbot448 was in the chat. We saw Xbot out there. He does next podcast on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. And I'm just trying to think here. Is there anybody else here that I possibly forgot? I hope not, because I'm going to get in trouble. You always get in trouble if you don't do it. The great Gaming Forte, who did DPS podcast last night with Slow-Mo Backslap. And again, guys, go over and check out Blaze 4K. He couldn't make it tonight. We'll try and get Blaze on next week or the week after. And that's Solidcast, 9 p.m. Saturday nights. I hope I got everybody's times. It's all by memory, by the way. It's all great by memory. JC 2013 says, great show, Mooch. Enjoy your guys' weekend. Eric B, thank you. I appreciate that as well. Talos, thank you very much. Guys, on the way out, please hit the like button for everyone that's here. Please do that. That means the world. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. I am now going to be taking my talents from Twitch to YouTube. I'm working on moving that over. I'm going to be streaming games here on YouTube. I'm going to do everything on YouTube. I think I'm going to be taking myself off Twitch shortly. I just feel like this is where the audience is, and I appreciate all of you guys for being here every week. That being said, enjoy your weekend. Play some Resident Evil 4, and we'll see you next Friday. Peace out and good night.